Hey everyone, oh my god, I'll do that again. Hey everyone, I'm streaming on Kick again, so link is in the bio if you want to hang out, chat, ask me anything, and just react, watch me react to stuff. Again, link is in the bio. Alright. Huh? No, there's nothing online that says you can do it. Alright, there we go. Vega George, what's up? E-birding, yeah, I believe you are first. Congratulations, sir. Forgot to put on my headphones.
21-year-old Una Stantsev from Spain. Stantsev comes here with a season best of 1.83 meters. The Spaniard is a former high jump national champion, which she won in
Fuck am I
2022,
listening to?
and the current national indoor champion. She qualified for the finals here with a jump of 1.81 meters, finishing 5th in her qualification group.
I don't know where the fuck that came from. Weird. Um. Oh my god. Found my first wild flamingos today, and after an hour plus watching them, a snapping turtle got one by the bill or neck and it drowned. That's really sad. Fuck that snapping turtle. Do I have any siblings? I have a half brother and a half sister, but I never talk to them. You debating Natalie Fulton anytime soon? No, she said like November. She said she's too busy to do it right now. What? Did Happy Healthy Vegan respond? Yeah, after I challenged him to a debate, he blocked me on Facebook. And he called me a delusional wacko or something. And he also accused me of bullying him. So, yeah, that's a bitch move. He is a fucking loser, dude. Yeah, massive, massive loser. Like, I know he feeds his cat meat. Obviously does. He wouldn't react this way if he didn't. And, like, he keeps trying to play this game where he won't answer whether he feeds it meat or not, but then gets super defensive and annoyed when anybody asks him, like, gee, I wonder why. Yeah, he's a fake vegan. For sure.
Some of them.
Let's see if Patty... Yep, she has new vid.
And we're back to get that deadlift video as the last one. We already know. Hey guys, welcome back. I have been robbed. But we're back at the gym, even later than usual, only about 1 hour before the gym closes. So let's see what we can accomplish today. Yeah. Yeah. This is the praise and worship movement. Any of my little ballerinas for Jesus, if you ever did that when you were a baby, you're gonna recognize.
Yeah, I think LeanBeefPatty either deletes my comments or she has me banned on her channel.
That movement. This one. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you annoyed with my question about whether or not you enjoyed having an afro? No. Why would that annoy me?
This one reminds me of like a little, I don't know, some sort of like a cartoon animal dancing like boop, boop, boop. I think maybe SpongeBob did that.
She should make an OnlyFans and do all this naked.
Work out, yeah, show me your mom made a pro like that.
I don't know. If you know, please comment below.
Don't you agree?
That's from.
Well, I do.
What is that movement? Tai Chi? One time I went to China. They were doing Tai Chi in the garden. None of that movement was actually like a movement, but in my mind, I was doing it. Starting the evening right with Gorilla Mine. Grape flavor. Code beef to save. Take 2. Probably straight enough. Oh!
Yeah, I like how Kick gives you email notifications rather than just having to rely on like a YouTube notification.
Oh. My phone's in my pocket. Oh no, lifting hazard. Oh. New angle. Oh. Oh. My quads are sore. That's no fun when you're deadlifting. Look at this. Gym wizardry.
Yeah, she actually knows how to lift. Normally I'd recommend people do a double overhand grip with hook grip, but she's a pretty small girl. I don't know if she can actually, like, I don't know if her hands are big enough to actually properly do a hook grip.
Belt on. Clips on. Mindset on.
Yeah, so she performs the Valsalva maneuver before bending over to grab the bar, which is what you're supposed to do. A lot of people don't know that, and it makes you way, way tighter. And she very quickly grabs the bar and initiates the pull, which again is what you should do. You shouldn't spend too much time adjusting your grip. If you have a lot of practice deadlifting, you really shouldn't be wasting too much time adjusting your grip. She also... What? Okay, cool. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it looks like she also has the bar about an inch in front of her shins. Just gonna play this slow. Say maybe the one technical problem here is it looks like she has shin contact before she actually bends over to pick up the bar. It's hard to tell with her baggy pants, like maybe not. But once you have shin contact on the bar, that's when you should initiate the pull. You shouldn't have shin contact before you grab the bar. And before you initiate the pull. Otherwise, she has extremely good form. Every lift I've ever seen her do, she has extremely good form. Probably the only lift she does where her form could be better is squat. But yeah, her hips don't rise before the the weight lifts off the ground. So her setup is pretty much perfect.
Whoa! Lightweight, baby! Next set, you'll notice that I'm using 2 different types of 45s. That's because I would rather use bumpers. Contrary to popular opinion, I do not enjoy the clanging of weights. It is overstimulating, and I would rather it be silent.
The reason I let my hair grow out before is because I was kind of lazy with getting haircuts, and whenever I'd cut my hair, it would get really itchy, like my scalp. So that's why I let my hair grow out for so long. I used to have like a gigantic afro, but now I just keep it short, and I have to keep it short really, because I wear motorcycle helmets, so I can't have a gigantic fro. Yeah, Mike Israel also thinks she has good. She is really good at lifting. She really is.
Important to spread your toes onto the ground and plant firmly. Oh, that was
Yeah, she also lets the weight down slowly, which a lot of people don't do.
so loud. Rip it and rip it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Whoosh. PR. What does that spell? PR. Let's go.
How many more days of this fucking kick bullshit do we have left, my vegan lord and savior vegan Christ?
I think the ban goes away Wednesday night or like really early Thursday. I think it's like maybe 1 or 2 a.m. Thursday, something like that. So yeah, we got 1, 2, 3 more days. Thanks for the donation though, My Chemical Prolapse. Appreciate it.
Wow, good job, self. Now, in order to continue doing well, any good, right-minded gym individual trying to progress in a specific manner should be following their programs, including doing the work downs. Let me start over. Now, even though we just did, pretty good top set, it's time to do the back downs. So the next top set can be even better and even stronger. Let's go.
Okay, that's weird how she does touch and go. She might just prefer doing that if she's doing like sets of like maybe 8 or 10 or something. But yeah, that's a little strange. It's not necessarily wrong, it's just kind of strange. Yeah, she may just prefer doing that when she's doing rep work. But
The
weird.
gym closes in exactly 10 minutos, which means we gotta speed up the process. Yeah! 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 That's it. Yikes!
Yeah, no idea why she does touch and go. It's a little strange.
Several days later.
All right, and that's that. It's the next day, but I forgot to say goodbye. So don't forget to.
Ooh, drift video. Let's maybe check that out.
This is a. This is one of the best looking.
So it was in a wreck. The car was getting towed, got hit by another truck from behind. The trailer pretty much got destroyed.
She's dead, and we're gonna have to fix it.
Our car got a little messed up.
Jimmy, what's the prognosis?
It's got big angle, baby.
$1,500 drift suspension setup versus $8,000 drift suspension setup. Does more expensive really mean more better? Let's find out. We bought two.
What the heck is this back down set shit she's doing? Is that really necessary?
Oh, crap. Had an itch on the top of my foot. So if you're trying to do something like improve your ability to do a 1-rep max, you may want to have a top set where you do a single rep or maybe a double or a triple, and then you do back down work for some extra volume. That's why you do a top set where maybe it's a heavy single or it's a double or a triple. It's to just make you better prepared for doing like a 1 rep max, or it's just more specific sort of strength training. And then you do some additional volume stuff so that, you know, you can grow muscle. Thanks for the donation, though. Come Eachner Gordon. Appreciate it. Hope that answers your question.
Nearly identical Nissan 350Zs, and we've been modifying them to be fun daily drivers you can take to the track.
And we took them to the track, and then we broke them.
Yeah, LeanBeefPatty has
And now
pretty
we're
jacked
transforming them
forms.
to be fun daily drivers.
She does
go drifting
specifically
in.
train them.
1Z is getting expensive parts.
And 1Z gets cheap parts. In the last video we made with these cars, we put V8s in them to give us a little more power, baby.
And in this video, we're adding a bunch of suspension parts to give them a little bit more angle, baby.
You can slide almost any car around, but if you actually want to drift,
Sustained, controlled, predictable sliding.
it really helps to replace some fundamental suspension parts that alter the way the car handles.
Which is what we're gonna do today.
And that's why Low Team is getting $1,500 worth of GK Tech and Megan Racing parts to help this.
New donated tellers, I talked to this idiot who was against lab-grown meat because the Vegan Society definition claims you have to only plants to be vegan. I use the same definition of vegan that you use, and he told me that I am wrong and I have no right to define veganism. Well, should have kicked his ass, or at least challenged him to an MMA match to settle things. Think there should be like a big gladiatorial like battle between stupid dumb cunt vegans, and maybe you could throw in fake ass vegan posers in there, and the real fucking G's that think veganism should be defined as giving animals human rights. Because those motherfuckers are stupid. But thanks for the donation, New.
Z gets sideways.
And Highcar is getting $8,000 worth of WiseFab and Feel suspension parts.
That's more than what we paid for Highcar.
Is it?
Yeah.
This car is so expensive now.
Before we unbox our angle kits, let's talk about why we're installing them in the first place. During a drift, the rear of your car can accelerate and actually overtake the front unless you countersteer to basically let the front end catch up. If the back of your car gets too far ahead, you'll run out of steering angle and spin out. So angle kits do exactly what the name suggests. They give the front wheels more steering angle, giving you the headroom to slide at greater angles. Wow, I said angle a lot.
With this GK Tech steering angle.
My RC car is really good at drifting. I do want to build a drift-specific RC car. This is really a rally RC car.
Deja vu, I've just been in this place before. Higher on the street, and I know it's my time to go. Going new, and the search is a mystery.
Yeah, that RC car drifts really nice.
Kit will be able to turn our wheels way past their original stock. The build quality looks almost too nice for low car, I think. We also have a rear lower camber arm, a radius arm, a regular camber arm, and an upper camber arm. We're gonna be switching out the entire rear suspension assembly with this Megan Racing equipment right here.
Easy money! This is what $1,500 gets you. Let's see what 8,000 brings. This is way above my pay grade. This is overkill, guys. This is a WiseFab front angle kit. New coilovers. Lower control arm. Upper control rear arm. Lower toe upper arm. Control rear arm. Upper control rear arm. Knuckles. The bracket. Basically, it's a lot of sticks.
Wow! Incredible! No, that's a lot of damage!
Biggest difference between our two setups is that we are replacing both the front and rear knuckles on Highcar.
Yeah, we don't have to do that.
You don't get to do it, really. So let's put these parts on the car, go to the track, and show everybody how good I am at drifting.
But look at that. Look how much it's steering.
All right, everything is disconnected. Now we should be able to pull her out.
Now, all these components will let us individually adjust our toe and our camber, really let us dial in what we want in the rear here.
The stock suspension on our 350Zs allows for some adjustability, but with our new parts, we'll be unlocking a ton more range of adjustability. It's like going from the demo to the full game. Camber refers to the angle of the wheels relative to the vertical of the vehicle. Most cars have very little camber so that the tires make as much contact with the road as possible, but most cars are driving straight most of the time. In drifting, we're going sideways, so the wheels are turned most of the time. If we increase negative camber, we reduce the tire's contact patch while driving straight. But when the wheels are turned, we're actually increasing the tire's contact patch. We're sacrificing grip going straight to gain grip going sideways. The other thing we're looking to adjust is toe, which refers to how far the tires are turned in or out. With toe in, we can increase stability. With toe out, we can increase our ability to turn quickly.
As Low Team gets better at drifting, we'll be able to dial in the car better and make it suited to our driving styles.
Jack, how do you get these clips off?
Oh, they're just kind of annoying. I mean, you got the right idea. You just got to be able to kind of push on both sides at once, or yeah, get a hook behind it.
He said I had the right idea. It's precision stuff.
Okay, so I got most of the stuff out of the front, the whole upright, pretty much everything. Just got to get this tie rod off here now so I can replace it with an extended one, and then we are on the process of putting things back in, at least at this corner. It's going pretty quick so far, but I've just taken stuff out so far, and that's the easy part.
2 bits. Toot toot, Jerry Bear, toot toot.
Like a dog farted.
Toot toot, Jerry Bear. Toot toot, Nolan, toot toot.
This dowel pin is the bane of my existence. Doesn't want to stay in. Okay, so the pin is in. This sucks.
So while Nolan is struggling in the back on the rear suspension, I decided to get a little jump on the front suspension. Now, luckily for us, we only have one piece to install, and that's this steering angle kit. What this does is it replaces one of our tie rod ends with this, which gives us some adjustability. So this is a threaded rod that allows us to adjust our steering angle. So in addition to this having a threaded rod on it, it also has 2 little collars in here that can change the accrement. And so what accrement is you get a positive or negative. Positive accrement is when the turning wheel has more angle compared to the opposite wheel. Negative means it has less angle compared to the opposite wheel. But above all, what we're trying to get is more extreme steering angle, and we will 100% be able to feel that. Now, while we don't have a ton of other parts to put on, like high car, we also don't have much frustration. I'm so not frustrated right now. Those guys, on the other hand, TBD.
So aftermarket parts, you put them on, you take them off, you put them on, you take them off, you try something new, and then you break out the grinder. How bad is a nick in a brake line?
Oh my god.
How bad's the nick? Let me take a peek. Oh, that's pretty deep. Yeah. We gotta
Dude, he broke the brake line.
Oh, it's rubber coated. Yeah. Oh, we're fine. All right, but we should get it out of my way. Yeah, get it very much out of your way. Rubber.
A huge thanks to K&N for sponsoring today's video. From
New suspension going in. Hot dog. That's a pile of new parts, and boy, does it look good. It's not gonna be this clean for long, but while it is, we gotta admire it. We've got a lot of spherical bushings here. Those are nice, they have no play, so this thing's gonna be tight as hell. It's gonna be awesome. Might be a little vibrating, but that's totally fine for a race car. I think we're gonna make it.
All right, so after taking this thing in and out a few times, cutting some stuff, grinding some stuff, it's in. Now there's only like new coil lower control arm, rear control arm, 8 more things to put in.
Well, dang it. I was super excited and looking forward to putting the brakes on our brand new stuff. That would make this area look super cool. But my Willwood caliper bracket doesn't fit. So I could modify the upright here, or I could modify the brake bracket that I have, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. This is my mill. This thing's plenty beefy. I'm just gonna take a little bit of material off here from both sides until it fits. All right, now that we've removed enough material from the bracket that it fits the WiseFab upright, now we can put the brakes on and bask in their glory. Ta-da!
Imagine having to do that with all 4 wheels. Fuck that shit.
Right, that's on, great. Now I'm gonna jack this up so I can get aligned with the tie rod. And then this side's done. Easy peasy, lemon, McSqueezy. Okay, so right now I'm just measuring the number of threads I have. I want both sides to be about the same. That way when we go to align the car, the guy doing the alignment doesn't have to do a whole bunch of extra work getting these threaded adjusters in place. This guy's way off, but luckily I got my tools right here. There we go, perfect. All right, this side is now set. Hopefully that helped our alignment guy a little bit.
Ability on our car and a lot of angle in the front, and it's gonna be freaking sick. Now all we have to do is get the car aligned, and then we'll be going sideways at the track.
Low Car had successfully installed their suspension, but High Car still had a ways to go.
All right, it's Monday, it's a new week, it's a fresh start. And last week, while I was finishing some stuff up in the engine bay, my best friend James Pumphrey was back here installing the rear suspension. And he made some nice modifications to our chassis in order to fit the suspension that he didn't think fit. But the problem was that he didn't remove this factory piece and replace it with a piece from WiseFab. Once you do that, you have plenty of room and you don't need to cut or hammer anything. So now I've got a hole in the car that needs to be fixed. Trucking right along. Just got a few arms to put in place and a hole to patch, and then suspension will be done. The hole is patched, the cuts are welded back together. So I'm just gonna throw some undercoat on it just so it doesn't rust.
That's something I'd
What's cool
do.
about High Team, all their stuff is made by one company. All the stuff should go together, no problem.
Yeah, they have more parts to put up front, but that also includes more fabrication to make those parts fit.
Yes. There is a very high chance High Car will have to chop their fenders to accommodate the wider stance that they'll have in the front. It's gonna look like a bullfrog in the front. Prepare your minds for some amphibian automotive action.
Okay, so we've got all our suspension installed, we've got our alignment. That'll be it. A little bit more work, but tell.
The first test is all about steering angle. The rules are simple. The car with the tightest turn radius wins.
Well, we're just gonna do a simple U-turn. More steering angle is gonna make that turning circle smaller, therefore probably easier to park in a parking lot. And then after this boring stuff, we can go drift.
With Low Car's angle marked, it was time for High Team to test their turning.
You guys wanna see how small my circle is? You almost turned inside. I know. This thing turns almost on itself. It's crazy. It is wild. Look. The only other thing that can do that is a forklift.
Low Car definitely benefited from the angle its new parts gave it, but it ultimately never stood a chance up against High Car's absurd amount of added angle. This one goes to High Team.
So like I said, my circle is tiny. That's super handy for parking lots and alleyways.
Yeah, 350Z is a nice looking car.
It's really not that cool. And it's not really why you put a steering angle kit on a drift car. You do it so you can drift better. And that's what we came here to do. So the first thing we're gonna do is set up a test. We're gonna do donuts around a cone. Whoever can do the cleanest donut for the longest around the cone wins. First thing we're gonna do is go out, do some practice, get warmed up, get a feel for these things with all their new angle, and then we'll challenge each other.
Okay, so the last time we came out here with the old engine, Job was doing big, large donuts in the...
Do you have any knowledge/opinions on ADHD and using stimulants to treat it? I was recently diagnosed after years of treatment, resistant depression, being kind of skeptical of the whole thing, but stimulants have been a big help so far. Just don't really like relying on meds for stuff, mixed feelings. A lot of people don't like relying on medication for things, but I mean, there's not really any logical reason to be against medication. If it helps, if it makes you feel better, makes your life easier, makes you work better, you're more productive. If everything improves, then like, why would you be against taking medication? Like if there was a medication that made you twice as smart or made your penis like twice the size or some shit, like you wouldn't be against taking it. Like you wouldn't have this idea like, oh, it's unnatural, or I don't like relying on something, or this or that. Like, no, when there's a clear benefit, you should obviously fucking take it. So that's my opinion on that. It's only if you have like contraindicators that you should maybe either stop or take some other type of medication. There's obviously side effects, but if you don't have side effects or the side effects are tolerable, then yeah, just keep taking the meds.
Car, but the car would run out of angle and he would struggle to either keep the car going in a drift or would run out of angle and spin out. So hopefully with this angle kit, now that he's got more steering angle, he can hold a bigger drift for longer. Let's see how that works out for him. It's undeniable that high car has more angle than low car, but I'm not sure if we'll be able to see that difference at this speed. Look at that! Look at that! Oh, that's great! And there we go. Gave it too much juice, but he's able to recover. He didn't spit out. You can really see how, like, look at that. Look how much it's steering. That was crazy. That was all the angle right there. That looked amazing.
It's pretty good. It's got angle everywhere you need it. You can go pretty deep and just save it. I feel like I felt when we went into the tiny circle contest. I knew I was gonna win. We got more angle and we got better parts because we spent more money.
That's so sick.
This is a shit ton of steering angle. Holy fuck, bro. Look how sideways those wheels are.
Easy enough. Easy enough to follow up. No pressure. No pressure. I mean, Job's only been doing this for a while now, and fourth time driving this thing. No pressure.
High car feels pretty awesome. The WiseFab kit is perfect. It does everything you need it to do and probably more. But I am excited to see Nolan rip low car, so I think we might see a loop from Nolan. Or at least, you know, slower donuts, not as awesome ones, like as you just saw from me.
Best of luck, but I'm not really worried about anything.
Spun out.
He just did better than I thought.
That's so much fun. Oh man, it feels so good. I can tell when I start to lose angle. Also, I can feel that the rear tires start to really heat up and you lose grip in the rear, and that doesn't really help the situation either, but it's really fun. I'm gonna do a little bit more if you don't mind.
All right, so when Nolan just looped out, sure, he could have avoided that by, you know, being in more control of the car potentially, but if he had more angle, he could have saved it. And that's kind of the difference. Sure, you can get really good at driving and not need as much angle, but if you're trying to have fun, more angle makes it a little bit easier.
Oh, I love this car. This thing's so sick, man. I love this car. This is the best low car's ever been. What's my heart rate? 144 beats per minute. Dude, this thing's so sick. Okay.
With high car and low car thoroughly broken in, it was time for both teams to switch keys and take our opponent's vehicles to the limits.
Well, I gotta say, you know, even though the car was in a little bit of an accident, feels fine now.
Oh, wow. Steering rack. Oh, it doesn't like that.
That seemed like a bog. Did I hear a bogging?
Yep, there's a lot of positives about this car, but it just died on me. Clearly, there's a couple issues, but I can tell that this thing is meant for drifting with that WiseFab kit. Like, I know that if I pushed it even further, it would be able to catch me further than with low car. What a car. These things are great. It's got some wrinkles to iron out, and then she'll be a beast.
React to this.
Let me take a look, Dodo.
Democrats in Washington are concerned about this. This is from Politico. In more than a dozen interviews across the party, Democrats offered various defenses and diagnoses of the administration's messaging strategy and what may need to change. But nearly all acknowledge that the Bidenomics message blitz has failed to brighten voters' view of the economy to date. Now, it doesn't take a genius to see that because of these numbers. But one of the theories as to why it's not is because people are still, and voters are still feeling the sting of inflation. Every year, Gallup asks Americans how they feel about the economy, and then compiles a list of what they call the Economic Confidence Index. Here's how the Economic Confidence Index has evolved.
Well, yeah, I mean, Biden's done a lot of good things for the economy, but it's still just not that great. He's also... Like, one thing I don't like about Biden is he seems to, like, always kind of fall back on protecting corporations. And the main reason you're seeing so much inflation is just because corporations are arbitrarily increasing prices, and he's not really trying to do anything to, you know, stop that.
From January of 2000 to September of 20.
See, it's Kick Watch It. Donated $2.
I'm not gay.
I don't know if I want to...
Is it true I'm...
I guess, we can. Why not?
I'm not gay. Is it true I'm gay? No.
He is gay. Yeah, that's back in the good old days when he was doing Chatterbait, where he admitted to being a gay prostitute. Thanks for the donation. It's Kick.
23. You can see the index's highest measurement is plus 56 in January of 2000, and the lowest measurement is minus 72 in October of 2008. We're sitting now at minus 39. Now, the economic, feeling that is pervading in America right now is something that the Biden administration and the Biden campaign is going to have to address in some way. And the question is whether they can do that. You can see that the graph has gone up and down since then, but the Americans still felt worse about the economy than they did in April of 2020, and you know what was going on then. So this is a situation, and Trey, I'll go to you on this. Is there anything that you could see just in terms of around the country, people talking about this?
I mean, Biden and the Democrats have to do their part too, but I just will say, trying to find some kind of optimism, there is another side of this equation too. When the campaign kicks into high gear, what's going to happen with Trump? He's only going to be in court more. He's only going to have more trials, more opportunities to continue to screw up. He hasn't grown any less unhinged in recent years when he's on the main stage in front of the whole.
Like, really, the strategy should be, rather than trying to talk about the positive policies Democrats have made, they should be focused more on the negative policies that the Republicans have made or done. That's probably better. And, they should be blaming Republicans for things like inflation, because it really started under Trump.
American electorate up there talking about boats hitting whales, sharks getting electrocuted, and whatever else he's been doing lately, and that type of thing. That also.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the important shit, drifting.
Does this mean the end of the world is upon us?
Yes, that's exactly what that means. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Job's a very skilled driver.
This car feels pretty good. So I did find the limits of the steering a couple times, but there's still enough angle that it was fine. Low car is rad, absolute ripper. Mated with this Nissan transmission, the gearing is better. I'm doing most of that in high car in first gear.
Yeah.
But low car second gear is just...
That's where it's at.
Chef's piss. Yeah. But yeah, dude, she puts it down.
High car put on an impressive drifting performance, no shock there. But what was more surprising was low car was able to keep up. Both cars had consistent circles and a nice distance from the center. It's a tough call to say who won, but you factor in that low car suspension came in a whole $6,500 cheaper, and this one goes to low team. Sorry, James.
Could you watch this please or skip but watch most of it? I was watching her video on football, and I think it was good. Maybe you would agree with this or debunk it.
Let me take a look.
I've been a therapist for a solid decade now, helping folks through all sorts of mental health struggles. And you know what part of my job makes me squirm in my seat every time? When I have to write a letter for an emotional support animal. That might seem weird, right? Because I hear all sorts of traumatic stories and sit with folks as they go through really intense emotions and help clients come down from their suicidal thoughts. I mean, there's plenty of aspects of my work that might make most people feel really uncomfortable. But for me, emotional support animals. That's what.
Most emotional support animals are family pets. You just get a certification for them to be a... What? They aren't? Yeah. Yeah, so it's not like they're being, like, at least in general. Most of them are pets. They're not trained for anything. So you might have a, I don't know, Labrador that will comfort you whenever you have an anxiety attack. They'll, like, jump on your lap or something. Then you just go to the doctor and then you ask to, you know, get that, like, certificate or whatever for the dog. What?
That is not how it works.
What? How does it work?
For emotional support animals, you can just take them where that's allowed. For service dogs, at least in Ontario, there is no such thing as certification.
Well, yeah.
You need to have,
By the why even bother going back to YouTube when the ban ends after what they did when you could just do all your streams here from now on?
normally a dog is actually used for a task. It's performing a task.
Yeah, by certificate I mean just a note from a doctor.
Yeah, certification
But yeah.
means full training.
Yeah, I know.
And those dogs cost like 50 grand.
Yeah. So, Dodo, the reason I'm going to stream on YouTube is because I make more money on YouTube. Plain and simple. So... yeah, why would I stop streaming on YouTube when I make more money? I'm going to keep streaming on Kick. I think I'll do simultaneous streams. But, yeah, I make more money on YouTube, so there's no reason to not stream on YouTube. Thanks for the donation, though, Dodo. Appreciate it.
It gets me. Because it comes up a lot. A client comes to me with their dog and says that they want to get a letter so that their landlord doesn't kick them out. And I want to help. I mean, it's not like I want someone to upend their living situation or get rid of their pet. But this predicament keeps popping up more and more every year. We don't have exact stats, but it's estimated that the number of emotional support animals in the United States has increased nearly 9,000% since 2011.
That's not necessarily a problem.
That's wild. I mean, I get requests for all kinds of animals. Not anything too weird, mostly cats and dogs, but you see stories about emotional support peacocks, emotional support alligators, emotional support squirrels, emotional support turkeys, emotional support insects. And then these folks expect special treatment and think that their non-human companion gets unfettered access to any and all public spaces. I mean, it's embarrassing. Where on earth do we draw the line? Because it's not just about my clients. This is about me, too. I feel like I'm on thin ice every time I sign my name on one of these letters. Emotional support animals exist in this weird legal gray zone, and I have a lot of thoughts.
What is this guy complaining about? Like, okay, you write a letter so somebody can take their dog into a fucking shopping mall. Who fucking cares?
About them.
This is just some whiny bitch shit.
Sponsored by Brilliant. When I really started looking into emotional support animals, or ESAs, the first question that I had was, where the heck did they even come from? Because I don't think I'd heard the term.
Thoughts on police dogs? I think it's unethical. Just plain and simple. I think it's unethical.
Emotional support animal until the early 2010s. But it turns out that the use of animals as support goes way back. I mean, take a look at early history, and we can see how dogs have been used to assist humans in a variety of settings, like as guide dogs for blind people, which has been documented as far back as 1 AD. In fact, guide dogs became far more prevalent during World War I because many soldiers were blinded by mustard gas during that time. Whole new organizations were created specifically to train dogs for the visually impaired. And today, there are a lot of animals, though mostly dogs, that not only help people who are blind, but also those with hearing impairments, sensory disabilities, and other special needs. Now, if you're clever, you might have already picked up on the fact that we're not talking about emotional support animals here. Seeing eye dogs or other animals that are trained to
Okay, I'm gonna skip over most of this. The problem with emotional support animals.
Really good for our mental health. So, what's the problem? Well, there's a few issues. First off, nobody knows what the heck the deal is with emotional support animals. If somebody were to walk into a store with their
Who cares?
150
like the only problem this guy's bringing up is, oh, somebody's bringing their capybara into fucking Costco. Who fucking cares?
pound capybara and say it's their ESA and flash a letter, everybody freaks out in a fit of confusion. Whoa, is that allowed? What can I ask without breaking the law? I mean, I don't want to get sued for discrimination. There was a great article from a few years back by a journalist who brought various animals into...
Okay, bro, like the idea that a fucking animal is a problem to like bring into a restaurant or a shopping mall or a grocery store, but kids aren't? Like, really? I can fucking guarantee you, kids are more of a disruption, louder, dirtier, spread more fucking germs than practically any fucking animal. Like, unless you're talking about a giant fucking slug or something, guess what? Kids will just have a trail left of fucking germs versus like any other animal. So go fuck right off. If you have a problem with like somebody bringing a dog or a capybara into like a grocery store, like, okay, then kids shouldn't be allowed. Any kids under 5 years old shouldn't be fucking allowed in stores. Like, the last time I fucking saw a kid in a store, they were crying, coughing all over the fucking place. They don't cover their fucking mouth when they cough. They also fucking pick their nose and just put their fingers in their mouths all the time and just touch random shit. Do you see a dog doing that fucking crap? Every time I've seen a dog in a fucking grocery store, they just chill, don't do anything, just follow their fucking owner, don't touch anything. Like, as if. This guy's a fucking bitch.
Animals into museums, shops, and restaurants. These animals included an alpaca, a snake, and a...
Dude, who doesn't want an alpaca in a fucking store? Really? He included this in the problem with emotional support animals. How the fuck is it a problem to have an alpaca in a store? I wish I lived in a world where I see alpacas in stores all the fucking time. They're great.
A pig. She got into everywhere. This just proved how much people can get away with, up making this whole system just a little bit more confusing. So long as the handler has their official...
Is this guy gonna, like, actually make an argument?
ESA owners who either don't know the law themselves...
They don't have public access.
Yeah, they do.
No, ma'am, they do.
Yes, they do.
I can give you...
I know that my psychiatrist told me they
I can give you an ADA card, and it only applies to service dogs. Service dogs are protected by the ADA.
I am sorry, you're wrong.
It's pretty but it seems to me that As emotional support animals have come into more public knowledge over the past 20 years, while I'm sure they get when you're already trying to and that's as emotional support animals.
This guy literally didn't make an argument. He's just saying, somebody can bring their dog in a store. Fuck this guy. Like, this is just a slow-talking dumbass fucking dweeb. Like, just shove it right up your ass. Oh my god, that video annoyed the fuck out of me. Holy fuck, what a Karen. That guy is just literally a fucking Karen. The only thing he can do is make a fucking 30-minute video complaining that somebody brought their capybara into fucking Costco? Really? That's what you like, how many fucking children ruin your fucking day by being in a fucking grocery store or literally anywhere? Anytime you see some stupid fucking baby in a public space, holy fuck, they're fucking loud, their stupid ass fucking parents block the aisle, or they're in front of something that you want to get to, and then they can't just fucking move because their stupid ass kid is running around all over the fucking place. They cough and spread germs all over. Complain about that. No, instead, here's fucking dogs in the grocery store. Fuck that guy. Oh my god, I just want to... Holy crap, that was fucking annoying. Jesus. And I get banned for a week on YouTube? This fucker doesn't get banned? Fuck you.
Actually, I'm not sorry.
Thanks to the Ridge Wallet for sponsoring today's video. This is your dad's bulky, leather-bound mess of a wallet. And this is the Ridge Wallet. Unlike this uncomfortable folding nightmare, the Ridge Wallet is light and industrial, designed to fit comfortably in your front pocket. /Donut Media and using code Donut Media or
hydraulic handbrake. That sounds interesting.
Oops.
Fire, fire, fire. God.
$800 hydraulic handbrake.
There's $1,500 hydraulic handbrake.
Does more expensive really mean more better?
Let's find out. That was one for the books, dude. That was one of the best ones we've ever done.
We bought two nearly identical Nissan 350Zs. Then we modified them to be fun daily drivers you can take to the track.
And then we broke them.
Yeah, and now we're transforming them to be fun daily drivers that you can go drifting in.
In theory, 1Z gets expensive parts.
And 1Z gets cheap parts.
And then we test them to find out which components are worth spending your hard-earned money on.
This was a great decision. Last time we added drift-specific suspension kits to both Zs, which lets us fine-tune our geometry and make them nice and slidey.
But today, we're taking it one step further to be the slidiest boys that ever did slid.
We're adding the final variable to our drift equation, hydraulic handbrakes.
This ain't your mom's e-brake.
What do you mean it's not my mom's e-brake?
Well, Nolan, I'm glad you asked. Your mom's e-brake usually uses a cable to lock the rear wheels up. But they're not built to be constantly abused and can be unreliable and inconsistent for drifting. Plus, a lot of times they're placed really awkwardly, like in these cars.
Hydraulic handbrakes operate completely independently from the car's braking system. They have their own brake fluid reservoir, rear brake caliper, and new, bigger brake lever, allowing you to lock the rear wheels with a quick flick of the wrist, making it much easier to initiate a drift. Plus, they look sick.
They look really sick.
Here at Low Team, we spent $740 on a universal handbrake. Pretty basic.
It's all you need. It's a pipe with a...
Donate $2. Hate how you can't rewind on kick streams. Also watch this. People coming out in support of Hamas or refusing to denounce Hamas are as bad as ISIS sympathizers. BLM is supporting Hamas. Woke left. Jesus, really? Okay, Hamas is a horrible, horrible terrorist organization, but the problem that's really creating Hamas and support for Hamas is the fucking Israeli apartheid. If Israel would give Palestine rights, stop stealing fucking land from Palestinians, not commit a fucking apartheid against them and deliberately try to take away their fucking rights, like, Hamas wouldn't be supported, at least not the way it is right now. So Israel's literally creating this fucking problem with Hamas. Like, that's where the argument should be. Hamas is terrible. They're awful. But the Israeli government and their terrible racist fucking policies against Palestinians, they're creating the fucking problem with Hamas.
Nick, I first want to start with that brand new information, the horrible news. 260 bodies found at this music festival site in Israel that was struck yesterday by these attacks. What do we know today?
We know that there were a lot of abandoned, shot-up vehicles along the road, the highway around where that music festival was taking place in Re'im, which is about 20 miles or so south of where we are in Sderot. It had been going through the night. A lot of young people there enjoying themselves, dancing, enjoying the music as the sun was coming up. And then the missile strikes, the intercepts, the Iron Dome going off, and all that confusion. And out of that confusion, it appears that Hamas ran on there and were just killing in a frenzied way anyone that they could reach, anyone that they couldn't sort of pull back and take away and get back to Gaza. I was speaking with a doctor who's been here in this area for the last 36 hours or so, treating casualties, treating the wounded. He was down to that music festival afterwards to try to help with the casualties there. And what he describes as scenes of, and putting this in context, this is a doctor who deals with the aftermath of terrorist attacks on a routine basis in Israel. He told me that this was like nothing he'd ever seen before.
We're finding everything. I had like a 90-year-old woman with a bullet wound to her
A
breast.
90-year-old woman.
Yeah, they're shooting everyone. Like there's no mercy at all. A 90-year-old woman with a bullet wound to her breast. I've had people with, like, you know, their RPG hit close by. They basically had terrible wounds and had to like decompress their chest from that. But beyond that, there was like every type of injury you can imagine. People lost limbs. People bullet wounds all over the place. It was. Yeah.
But you're also. So he was talking about people being stabbed as well, and the RPG, the rocket-propelled grenade. This is a weapon normally used to break down buildings, to get into armored vehicles. Hamas using those weapons, he said, on the civilians. So finding out that
that would obliterate somebody. That's crazy.
Death toll where all these young people were outside enjoying themselves through the night of 260 just gives you a sense of the awful scale and the level of brutality.
I had a stupid bitch-ass co-worker at my old workplace that got mad at me 'cause I didn't kick out some lady for bringing in her sweet little dog to the store 'cause I don't give a fuck. That dog was sweet and well behaved, more than most kids. Why should I care?
Yeah. Why? Like, it's so stupid. Most dogs are better behaved, spread less germs, and are less of a liability just in general than most kids going into a store. So, yeah. Thanks for the donation, though, New. Dodo donated $2. BLM and woke left presence at Free Palestine rallies in Times Square right after Hamas does this. It's not an accident. They low-key think it's justified because of occupation. Do you think Hamas is jihadist like ISIS? Well, I'm pretty goddamn sure, yeah, they're jihadists. Like, again, there's no fucking way you should ever be in support of Hamas. That is just fucking crazy. Like the reasonable and correct claim is that Hamas is fucking terrible. No one should ever support them, and something should be done about them. but something should be done about the Israeli government because they're committing an apartheid against Palestinians. They're constantly breaking fucking international law and human rights laws. And they're one of the leading fucking reasons why Hamas even exists in the fucking first place. Like, again, the reason why Hamas is getting supported so much by Palestinians is because they're one of the only fucking groups that's actually fighting for fucking Palestinian freedom. So if they want to deal with these issues with terrorism, they have to stop this apartheid in Palestine and create goodwill with Palestinians. Then Palestinians wouldn't be in support of fucking Hamas. It's like the best analogy I can make is maybe like the war on drugs. Like, all of these politicians are complaining about organized crime and all these gangs. Well, the reason they exist in the first place is because of the war on drugs. If they were to legalize drugs, those gangs wouldn't exist. It's a similar kind of thing. Like, the reason why there are these crazy fucking terror attacks and so many Palestinians are supporting Hamas is because, again, Israel is committing an apartheid against Palestinians. They wouldn't get that kind of support if, again, they had goodwill with Palestinians.
Home, the attack on Israel causing tensions to boil over this afternoon. Both Israeli and Palestinian supporters gathered for rallies in Times Square close to each other before marching east to the United Nations, but not without directing their anger at each other. Eyewitnesses reporter Kimberly Richardson live in Times Square with more. Kim.
Well, David, a tale of two cities that is coming to a head right here outside the Israeli consulate. Things have significantly quieted down, but just a short time ago, a passionate yet powerful show of support. Day one of rallies here in New York City. Home to many who are desperately trying to get updates from family and friends in the Gaza Strip and Israel. Omer is a student.
Okay, that sign is fucking bizarre. Oh, okay, free Israeli children and women held captive by Hamas. Okay, well, that makes sense. I thought she was just holding up a sign saying free Israel, and it's like, the fuck?
Israel. Omer is a student here only 3 months from Israel.
I know that my friend dying, I know my friend going to the army, and I'm stuck here.
Where many gathered in solidarity, though on opposite sides of the conflict. A fairly large crowd carrying Palestinian flags organized in Times Square.
It's so frustrating. There's no words to explain what it's like to be here and not, be there to help out, and you feel helpless.
Yesterday, Governor Kathy Hochul condemned the planned Palestinian rally, calling it, quote, morally repugnant. Amir says he was saddened by the event.
Not because I think to be pro-Palestine is a bad thing, and I think Palestine is okay, is okay idea, but not to do it 2 days after.
What do you mean Palestine is an okay idea? What? That is insane.
Hello. What is your view regarding the ethics of eating bivalves? Do you consider them sentient? I have no desire to eat them, but if they were not sentient, wouldn't they also be vegan?
Yeah, I can say with a very high degree of certainty they're not sentient. They do not have a brain or nervous system. They only have a very simple network of nerve ganglia. So, essentially, they have roughly the same sort of nerve structure as your finger. So if you believe if you were to cut off your finger and poke your finger with a pin, that's basically the equivalent of poking at a bivalve. So although they can show signs of sentience, they'll run away from predators, they'll feel around their environment, individual nerves can complete extremely complex actions, surprisingly complex actions. So I would say, based on the fact that they don't have a brain, they don't have a nervous system, they only have a very simple complex of nerve ganglia, they're not sentient. So it would be vegan to eat them. Thanks for the donation, though, ? Appreciate it.
so many terrorists just killed our friends.
Day 2 of intense fighting in southern Israel.
Last night I was running in and out of the stairwell of my building, which is supposed to be the safest place to take cover from rocket fire.
This is what it looks like outside Shanna's apartment in Tel Aviv. She's from Howard Beach, but has lived over...
Dude, there are so many shithole, fucked up, ratty apartments in Israel. I remember Ethan was living there for a while with Ela, and he was like, how the fuck do people live like this?
Lived overseas for about 5 years, is the host of the Israel Daily News podcast. She says everyone is terrified gangs of terrorists are still out there and ready to strike. She fully supports the Israeli military action.
I think that the only way to respond is with a full force, frontal, unified response, because this is a tough town. This is the Middle East. You know, rules of diplomacy that we're used to.
Yeah, so this is going to be used to justify a lot of fucking violence against Palestinians, which is a shame. Like, this is another reason why you shouldn't support regimes like Hamas.
Have to be Chinese.
Like, Hamas is probably going to end up causing a lot of innocent Palestinian deaths. Dodo donated $2. Let me
to wear this?
You don't have to. Anybody can wear.
What prompted you to make that video?
I made that video to prove anti-white ivory tower professors like the one in your studio wrong. This video and the others that I've made like it with Native Americans, with Mexicans, with the Chinese you just watched are irrefutable evidence that people like that professor are exactly wrong on cultural appropriation. I've seen people get offended by braids and say braids are a black people thing and white people can't wear braids. It's called a Dutch braid. It was from back in Nordic times, old Nordic times, with white people, with Vikings would wear braids, yet people want to come and claim that it's some part of their culture now. No, you can't claim that something is just a part of your culture either. It's for people to share and celebrate and use so you can actually have a society that is cohesive and works together as a melting pot, not all these different groups that can't work together because everyone's so offended. The only people who are actually offended by cultural appropriation don't really have anything else of meaning going on in their lives, it seems.
That guy's based. Totally agree with what he's saying. The one thing I hate about Dr. Phil, though, is he's been inviting on a lot of crazy, wacko, right-wing lunatics like Matt Walsh, Jesse Lee Peterson, and he'll have them maybe debate just the most lunatic, idiot fucking left-wingers you've ever seen. So it's an easy W for people like Jesse Lee Peterson or something. And then Dr. Phil will say nothing. So I think Dr. Phil is really fucking right-wing, and he just wants to hide the fact that he's like right-wing and has some like pretty gross fucking beliefs. So he'll just have somebody else say it for him, so nobody gets the idea that he's actually a fucking bigot. So yeah, I don't like Dr. Phil. I didn't like him before, but especially lately, he's done a lot of really sus things. Let's see, Twitter. Natural Ride. Yes. Cat ride horse. Cat and horse friends. That's a really pretty cat. Oh my god. So handsome. That's amazing. Let's see.
If I make a car and I want you to buy my car, I need a road. So I'm going to build the road. Oh, wait a minute. I convinced you to build the road. That's even better. Oh my gosh, I made it a national priority. Oh, it's a security problem. We need a military design interstate system. That's why it goes through mountains instead of over them. That's why there are long stretches of straightaways so you can land an airplane on it. That's why they're built above the road. That's why the surface roads are not the same thing as highways, because the highways are not on the surface. Why? Because they're built up. Why? Because tanks can drive on them without decomposing the road. What specs did we put this to? To the Autobahn. The Germans invented the modern highway system. They invented the cloverleaf. They invented the off-ramps. They invented all of that. And their armies could move on their roads like it was nobody's business. And Eisenhower said, hey, I'll get me some of that. That's probably not how he said it, I'm guessing. He comes on, convinces us all that we need to build an interstate. I got nothing against the interstate system. I'm just giving you the foundational facts for it. If I make a...
Interesting, I did not know that.
This is Forest City, a mega development in southern Malaysia built by the troubled Chinese real estate firm Country Garden. The plan was to build housing for some 700,000 people with luxury facilities throughout.
There's a water park, a garden maze, a beach that no one can swim in, and a commercial street, which will eventually be something like a shopping mall. But hardly anyone is using them. Only about 9,000 people live here, and most of the units that you see behind me are actually still empty. Forest City is emblematic of some of the core issues that have led to China's property crisis, like overbuilding, overborrowing, and a streak of bad luck.
Yeah, basically what was happening is developers were getting a shit ton of money from the government, and it was super cheap to build housing, and there's a big speculator market in China as well. So people ended up buying a lot of these properties, and then nobody's actually moving into them. So these buildings end up just becoming completely worthless. China's because they're a pseudo-communist government, they can do funny things with, their policies and shit to kind of prevent total economic collapse and recession. So they've done some things to get rid of speculators recently, and they've been taking money out of development. But yeah, this is still a huge problem.
So here's what Forest City tells us about some of the challenges facing China's economy today.
Traditionally, real estate has been the main way that people in China have grown their wealth, buying into a booming property sector that makes up a significant portion of the world's second largest economy. But over time, the demand to buy has far outstripped the amount of housing that was actually needed. That's led to mostly empty, unfinished developments, sometimes called ghost cities, around the country, which now mainly function as a place for investors to park their money. The developers building them took on huge amounts of debt, confident that China's population would keep buying new property. But trouble started in 2021 with the default of China Evergrande Group, triggering protests from angry suppliers and investors trying to recoup their losses, and homeowners demanding that their unfinished homes be completed.
The next year, it was followed by Sunac China, another major developer. Over the past 2 years, dozens of Chinese real estate developers have fallen into financial distress.
Country Garden was one of the largest survivors, and it was previously viewed as more stable and prudent than its competitors.
Part of Country Garden's strategy within China was to build Tier 3 cities where land was cheap and they had a lot of support from local government. They were confident that over time, these places would grow and there would eventually be demand for their buildings. They could build really big, really fast, at a very low cost. In Forest City, they tried to replicate that success. Country Garden launched the project about a decade ago. It's a joint venture with the local government of the state of Johor. Southern Malaysia is quite underdeveloped, but it's just a few miles away from Singapore, which is one of the busiest commercial hubs.
Have you seen Big Lenny's constant trolling of Dale Chansonic lately? It's pretty fucking hilarious. Also, we need a Big Lenny stream or debate one day. I believe he knows how to do a Zoom call.
Lenny is really bad with technology, and I've tried to reach out to him, and I just haven't been able to set it up. But I haven't seen him trolling Dale. Let me see.
Good evening, maniacs. I have an urgent message for Dale Chance. It seems that I feel I've been taking the Dale Chance drama a little too lightly, when in fact the seriousness of his behaviors and the characteristics he's displaying through Instagrams and various other forms of social media, as well as direct messages and messages of maniacs, that I feel I have to give Dale somewhat of a warning before things get out of hand. And arguably, things may have gotten out of hand to disturbing things that he has personally said and texted to me.
Dodo Donny Tillers, also, did you hear that a war in the Middle East just began, well, against Israel and Hamas, right? I heard about that. Thanks for the donation, though, Dodo.
And again, as with all maniacs, misfits.
Aaron Peter Tillers, I'm not doing so good. I would like you to react to this. I can't poop for about a week now. Feels like I'm going to die soon.
This video was sponsored by Brilliant.
Oh, that is going to be fucking stupid. I can tell you right now. That is going to be so fucking stupid. We'll react to that next. Thanks for the donation, Aaron. Hope you can poop soon.
That's what I do.
Yeah, dude, if you're having a lot of constipation, you should drink a few cups of coffee per day. And you should stick to eating, like, raw fruits and vegetables. That'll get your system kind of moving pretty well.
That's my job here on Earth, is to recognize cookie cutter activities in myself and others and in society in general, as that is the way of the Antichrist, to get humanity acting in a cookie cutter style of way, to divide them through various forms, and I've went into all those forms they use to divide us as human beings, as well as maniacs. And sadly, Dale's behavior is off the deep end. Now I want a nice little fall ambiance here. Got a nice fall fireplace going, so fear, and hopefully listens with an open heart and open mind is all I can ask from him. Because I love Dale Chance. He's definitely a part of the Misfits. He was a competitor. And the behaviors he's displaying out with us right now. First and foremost, as most of you know, Dale has always provided gym footage, some decent lifts, as well as some lifts that were, some could call ego lifts, or basically being a charlatan and jumping on the fads of the day, particularly in the weight room with Faddish and a few of his workout footage videos. Now, Dale is heavily influenced by the nephew of Sigmund Freud. And for those of you that don't know, that gentleman's name is Edward Bernays. And I advise everyone to Google the name of Edward Bernays. Bernays. And
what the fuck is this video? Why did anybody send me this? The fuck? Okay, that was pointless.
The U.S. House of Representatives passed legislation that would change regulations when it comes to animal testing.
A bill that
Yeah, the reason they did that is because animal testing is not only unethical, but it is not really useful anymore.
would lift a mandate in the law that drugs have to be tested on animals before clinical trials in humans.
The massive $1.7 trillion legislation invests in medical research.
It's going to bring testing into the 21st century.
Early this year, President Biden signed a new law that made...
This woman has a bitch face. She's a fucking bitch. Anybody who'd make a video like this is a fucking bitch. You can tell just by the look on her face, she's a fucking bitch. She's the kind of bitch where if you walk into a building for an appointment, that bitch will fucking be typing away on her computer doing fucking jack shit, knowing you're fucking sitting there, waiting to be checked in, and then she'll just ignore you, and you'll be waiting there, and then when you ring the fucking bell so that she'll actually acknowledge you, she'll say, just a moment, I'm busy right now. She's that kind of fucking bitch.
Made a lot of animal rights.
Yeah, okay.
activists very happy. The FDA will no longer need to require that pharmaceutical companies test their drugs in animals prior to beginning human trials or before the FDA approval of the drug. Now, depending on who you talk to, this signals either a dramatic shift away from the use of animal research models, or it's simply one more small step in a slow march toward better testing systems that are more accurate for understanding human biology. And I think that this is a good thing. When you see amazing headlines that say things like, "Scientists cure cancer," a lot of scientists will sarcastically add, "in mice," to the end. As someone who spent about a decade doing animal research, I think that this new law is a sign of great
she's a
progress.
bitch.
We've come a pretty long way from the days of Galvani making dead frog legs dance with electricity, or Louis Pasteur proving germ theory by giving anthrax to sheep. These days, we have all kinds of other tools at our disposal. Immortal cell lines from dozens of different kinds of animals and a wide variety of cell types, human embryonic and induced pluripotent stem cells, 3D organoids, which are basically tiny chunks of simplified organ tissue, donated human tissues and cells, and even high-tech computer modeling. Years from now, we might actually be able to truly make animal testing a thing of the past. And personally, I can't wait for that future. Every day we're learning more about the cognition and intelligence of the animals we use in our research. And I think that the evidence really supports the fact that most of these animals are pretty smart and aware of their environments and experiences. It really feels to me like we're walking this precarious ethical tightrope between our drive to better understand.
It's not an ethical tightrope. There is not a good use case for animal testing, and on top of that, it is horribly fucking unethical.
Understand biology and develop new medical treatments, and respecting the lives and autonomy of other animal species. But unfortunately, despite that challenge, I really don't think animal testing can or should end anytime soon.
That's because you're a fucking bitch.
Animal research has a long and often quite sordid history, dating back to at least the ancient Greeks. The anatomist and physician Aristratus conducted vivisections and dissections on non-human animals, and some
Yeah, it's because he's a fucking cunt.
humans too. And he uncovered lots of early information about the structure of the heart and vascular system. Our buddy Galen had a habit of dissecting apes and pigs to better understand their anatomy. And the Arabic physician Avenzoar is the first recorded person to test surgical procedures on animals before attempting them in humans. In more recent history, we come to some names you probably recognize. Pavlov and his dogs, Skinner and his box of rats, Hodgkin and Huxley and their squids. But throughout all of that time, scientists weren't too concerned about the comfort of the animals they used in their research. Remember that even humans didn't really have much in the way of anesthesia or painkillers until the 19th century. And heck, there have been a lot of really messed up psychological experiments done on humans, including babies. Plus, especially in white
Yeah, just do research on babies.
Western society, many scientists followed a Christian ideology that included the stance that God gave humanity dominion over the animals. Seriously, just pull out a Bible and right there in Genesis, it says, God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. Now, if you take that passage as scripture, quite literally, then that means it is our human right, nay, our responsibility, to care for and rule over all the creatures of the earth, including putting them to good use. It's taken a long time for society to recognize that many animal species, including those we use in research and slaughter for food, actually possess a fair amount of sentience. With all of that as the backdrop, there was no way that those early modern scientists were going to worry about the feelings of their animal models. It's really not hard to understand why people have horrific ideas about what animal research entails, because some of the research from back then was pretty horrific. And hey, some research—
It's still horrific. What do you mean some of the research back then? It's still fucking horrific. Vivisection still exists. It's still practiced. horrible, insane suffering is imparted onto these animals for research. Look at the fucking terrible animal research done for Elon Musk's Neuralink. Like, these animals are getting just brutalized, dying in horrible fucking ways, getting their skulls opened up, having these chips implanted into them. Like, what do you mean back then? This shit is still fucking happening. She's just completely denying reality.
Today can seem pretty horrific too. A lot of people probably think of those awful PETA videos when they think about animal research. You know, the ones with the monkeys screaming in cages and the rabbits with the bloody fur. Historically, some of that has definitely happened.
What do you mean historically? It still happens, you fucking liar?
Even today, you might hear a story about a research facility or a lab breeder who gets caught engaging in really terrible animal care practices.
This bitch is coping so fucking hard. This doesn't happen in my laboratory. It happened maybe a few years ago. It doesn't happen anymore. It does happen now, bitch.
And those researchers and institutions that don't follow current animal care regulations need to be held accountable for their unethical behavior. Much in the same way that I think
That is the most insane, stupid, dumb fuck shit that could ever come out of this fucking dumbass's mouth. Oh, so rather than giving animals rights that would protect them against the sort of treatment in the first place, punish the people who violate animal welfare laws for research? That's just an acknowledgement that this is still going to happen anyway. Like, why the fuck not just snip the problem in the butt by giving animals rights, but instead, oh yeah, let's just fucking give somebody 6 months probation for torturing animals in a fucking laboratory setting. What the fuck is that gonna do? Like, the animals are still tortured to death, you fucking moron. This is like saying, oh yeah, let's not abolish slavery. Let's just not give black people human rights and just punish slave owners for, like, torturing their slaves. Why the fuck would you do that? Like, the answer is to give black people rights. The answer here is to give animals rights. Maybe we should take your rights away and just fucking experiment on your dumb bitch ass.
Dog owners who neglect their dogs need to be held accountable for animal cruelty. But just because dog abuse and neglect happens doesn't mean that all or most.
Like, what it, I just also want to understand what her definition of cruelty is, because there's so many fucking things that are done that aren't considered animal cruelty that are fucking cruel. You can look at the laws and regulations, like there's bullshit like, oh, you can only experiment on an animal once. Well, guess what the fucking experiment is? The experiment is cutting open an animal's brain while it's still fully conscious, putting a chip inside its head, and then having it fucking experience, like, non-stop seizures because of the fucking implant. That's considered ethical. So, like, what even is humane treatment? Like, the reason it's even being done on animals is because it's recognized that it's inhumane. That's why you can't do the fucking human research in the first place. Like, it is so, like, it's just a complete oxymoron for this dumb bitch to say, oh, well, we can experiment on animals humanely. No, you fucking can't, because if you could, you'd just be doing that in humans, you fucking liar.
Most dogs suffer as pets. And similarly, although there are cases of poor animal handling.
Okay, you know what? I'm done. This video is making me too pissed off. I think I've said what I needed to say. I'm bothering everybody in the fucking house by screaming at her.
Hubs in Southeast Asia. Initially, the project was pitched as a place where wealthy Chinese people could have a second home or an investment property. It's cheaper than Singapore, but still very close by.
But in August, Country Garden estimated that it had lost the equivalent of $7.6 billion for the first half of 2023 and was struggling to repay its roughly $190 billion of outstanding debts. This is a big problem for places like Forest City. The company says it has sold more than 80% of its units, many of them to Chinese investors who don't actually live here. But the value of these units have plummeted, from an average $280 per square foot for one-bedroom units to about $116. That's partly because Chinese buyers have been discouraged from buying in Malaysia, with Beijing limiting overseas payments and protectionist rhetoric from Kuala Lumpur spooking potential buyers. The economic downturn during the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as China's recent real estate crisis, has also hurt the confidence of investors in megadevelopments like Forest City. But the fate of the project is still in question. In September, Country Garden narrowly avoided defaulting on its debts.
Now, the company's creditors are waiting to see if it will find a solution.
In a statement, the company said it was still up.
Let's see. Fuck China. I think in the next, 10, 20 years, China's going to be seriously, seriously fucked. They're going to be in a horrible recession.
Australia's the next time I'm going international. All right? If you're from Australia, put a me in the chat. Can't wait to... I would love to see you guys. If you guys see me IRL streaming, I'll be in... Where does Eddie live again? What part of Australia? Is it Sydney or Melbourne? It's one of those.
Hey, jackass, why
Melbourne?
won't
All right, so I'll be in Melbourne. I'll be in Melbourne,
debate
right?
me?
So
Scared?
I hope we get pepper sprayed. Yeah.
Too much of a beta to debate.
So I'll be in Melbourne,
vegan.
chat. I don't know how many guys are from fucking Melbourne or live in Melbourne. I don't know. Planning on doing a lot of shit out there. All right? It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be good out there. Eddie said I'm covered. Chat. Eddie literally... Eddie's so fucking hilarious, bro. I told Eddie, I was like, yo, Eddie, you got anywhere for me to stay out there? I don't mind, renting an Airbnb or some shit. He's like, yeah, man, we don't really have Airbnbs, but you could just stay at my $25 million penthouse. Nobody's staying there right now. I'm like, what the fuck? Sure. So I'll be staying at Eddie's penthouse, chat. All right? I was like, why the fuck you don't live in it? He's like, yeah, I just don't live there. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck? All right. Australia will be fun, chat. We were planning stuff. ABZ's gonna help me plan some stuff. Eddie said that we're gonna do some shark cage diving and shit. So, I don't know what the fuck's going on, bro. I might do a stream at his penthouse and just jump off the balcony. I don't fucking know, bro. All right? I don't fucking know. All right? But it's gonna be fun. Go trick or treat.
Yeah, I don't understand how he gets that much viewership.
More than...
But can't really get him to notice.
Hundreds of men, women and children gunned down in their cars, homes and at a rave. Dozens more captured and taken into Gaza. Israel is still reeling from yesterday's surprise attack by Hamas, which is designated a...
You know what I know why, but I wonder how many innocent Palestinians Israel has killed. It's been proven that Israel's committed war crimes. They've bombed non-military civilian targets, and they have to have killed in the hundreds of innocent Palestinians at this point. Like, that doesn't make the news like this does. This is horrible. But, Israel's committed horrible atrocities against Palestinians. You can see videos of Israeli snipers shooting at innocent people, and they'll deliberately wound somebody in the hopes that they'll bait somebody out to try to help the person they shot, and then they'll shoot another innocent person and try to rack up kills that way.
terrorist group by the UK, the US and the European Union. Shock too in Gaza, where 2 days of retaliatory airstrikes have led to hundreds of casualties. The army claims it's back in control of most areas of southern Israel, but it has continued to battle Hamas fighters in 8 towns.
The only chance you would have is to tell your chat to spam call the Egan Gaines in his chat.
Yeah, I don't think I have enough viewership to really do that. What's his name? I might actually have a line to him. I'll see if Turkey Tom actually knows if he can get a hold of Aiden Ross. Yeah, we'll see. I might be able to actually just get a hold of him.
Israeli media says more than 700 Israelis were killed in the group's deadliest attack in 50 years of conflict. They include 44 soldiers. And at least 370 Palestinians have been killed in the densely populated Gaza Strip, where Israel's airstrikes have destroyed whole apartment blocks. The fighting has also drawn in Lebanese militant group Hezbollah. The Iran-backed group exchanged fire with Israel on Sunday after launching rockets and shells at 3 Israeli positions in the disputed Sheba Farms area. Hezbollah said the attack was in solidarity with the Palestinian people. And an Egyptian policeman has opened fire on Israeli
Hezbollah is
tourists
also pretty
in the
fucked.
city of Alexandria, killing 2 of them and their Egyptian guide. Let's go live now to our foreign correspondent, Secunda Kamani, who's by the Israel-Gaza border. Secunda.
Well, we're not far from the Gaza Strip, and we've been hearing very regular, loud thuds of Israeli airstrikes landing in Gaza. We've seen footage coming in of the impact of those airstrikes as they hit targets in Gaza too. We've also been seeing at times the Israeli Iron Dome defense system intercepting some of the missiles, the rockets, I should say, fired out of Gaza by Hamas. And what's really unprecedented, though, about the situation that we find ourselves in now is the way that Palestinian gunmen have infiltrated over the past 2 days into Israeli territory, moving through Israeli towns, shooting and abducting civilians. It's been a massive security failure, a massive intelligence failure on the Israeli side. It's also led to the single deadliest incident for Israeli civilians in the country's history. And the assault isn't over yet. In the nearby Israeli town of Sderot, well, residents there have been warned by security forces to stay at home whilst they search for remaining gunmen. Of course, there's also a huge amount of fear for the 2 million or so people living in the Gaza Strip. We're not allowed to travel into the territory, though we do have a...
Yep. You want to bet well over the 200 and something people who were killed in that mass shooting or mass killing are going to be like in it, and I'm talking about innocent civilians, are going to end up being killed by these fucking rocket attacks.
A colleague filming for us who's based there. He and other residents are not allowed to leave Gaza. It seems almost inevitable that in the coming days there's going to be a major ground offensive targeting Gaza, a warning that our report contains some distressing images.
Day 2 of this war, and Israeli forces have still been battling pockets of Hamas gunmen. Reports of fresh infiltrations by militants terrifying residents in southern Israel. Despite its military strength, Israel seems to be struggling to assert full control over its territory. Heavy airstrikes are pounding the densely populated Gaza Strip, with rockets still being launched from there. Israel's Prime Minister has vowed there will be no respite as the country reels from its deadliest attack in decades. Israelis want revenge. In the small town of Ofakim, residents vent their fury on the abandoned vehicles used by the militants, setting one on fire.
Okay, let's go. This gives you a sense of the level.
Dozens of people were killed here, and just after we leave, clashes erupt nearby. The unprecedented, coordinated assault with Hamas fighters flying over the border fence or bulldozing.
Whoa!
Why not try it out? There's still 130 people in here. An Arden-Ross debate would be great ments. All you have to do is tell the chat to spam call vegan gains. It could be worth a shot.
I'll see if Tom can get me like a hold of Aiden first. If that doesn't work, then I'll try that. Thanks for the donation though, Mr. Asshole.
through it.
They're fucking using paragliders. I've never seen anything like that. They're literally shooting from a paraglider.
Began yesterday morning. Gunmen rampaged through Israeli communities. In shocking videos, dozens of hostages, including women and children, are shown taken back into Gaza. Israelis have never been hit like this before.
Jesus, dude.
Underlining just how little a threat most Israelis saw emanating from Gaza.
That is crazy, crazy shit. But again, like, this is a reason why the Israeli government needs to make peace and have goodwill with Palestine. Like, this isn't ever going to end. They're the ones that are perpetuating and worsening this fucking problem.
Thousands had been attending an open-air
Dude, there's a lot of fucking sexy-ass Israeli women.
rave not far from the border. Then there was panic as the militants attacked. Roy was there and thought he would never escape alive.
So how many bullets? Three? Two?
One in and out, and one still in my stomach.
Jesus.
We hid under a truck and played dead. When the terrorists came, they wanted to make sure we weren't alive, so they shot me and my two friends. They both passed out. I hope and pray that they are still alive, but I just don't know.
Holy crap, they shot him when he was down and he still survived.
Inside a hospital in the southern city of Beersheba, desperate...
Lilte donated $2. Look who came out of hiding for 5 years. Let me see. I don't know who that is.
I am free now, and I thank God every day for it. I thank my mom for it.
Oh, God.
She spent all of her life savings in court. She spent all of her life savings to support me, and we won. I am free now, and
So, who the fuck is this and what happened?
got my attention like a fire alarm. I got you paralyzed. Look in your eyes.
I don't know who that is. Fuck this bitch doing lol. I have no idea. I don't know who that is, but thanks for that donation, Lil Tay.
Parents are looking for their children. 22-year-old son was also at the rave. He called his mother when he heard rockets being fired. She told him to run, but hasn't heard from him since.
Police, army, anyone, just bring me my boy. Nobody is telling us anything. What kind of country is this? I was in the hospitals. I can't find my son anywhere.
In response, Israel has launched a ferocious bombing campaign on Gaza. Entire streets have been reduced to rubble. This is one of the most densely populated places in the world, and everyone here feels under attack.
We, like everyone here, are being oppressed. Under the fire, the bombing.
Should we support Israel or Palestine? Neither. So you should force the Israeli government to end their apartheid against Palestinians. Work some way of giving back Palestinian land, get rid of the illegal settlements, and fight these radical terrorist groups like Hamas and Hezbollah. So I would say that's the solution. But fundamentally, this problem is, again, the Palestinian apartheid and Israel stealing land and making illegal settlements. You have to do something to make goodwill with the Palestinian people, and then make an effort to get rid of Hamas and Hezbollah.
All night long. This building, 80 families lived here. You're talking about a whole neighborhood. A whole neighborhood. 80 homes.
The death toll here has been rising and will continue to do so as this assault intensifies. Outside the Al-Shifa hospital, a crowd gathers around an injured man. Cradled lovingly in his arms, he holds the body of his young child, killed when an airstrike hit his home.
Lil Tay don't tell her. So basically, Lil Tay was this obnoxious little kid who flexed daddy and mommy's money, pretending she came from nothing when in reality her life was fake. This video sums it up. Good. You never heard of her.
Do you remember Lil Tay? She broke the internet at age 9 by flexing
Oh, I remember now.
Lamborghinis, watches, and money. But then she disappeared. For years, people speculated what happened to her, claiming that there was a dark truth behind
Okay, I didn't recognize her. I remember some of those videos.
everything. But now, she's back. So tell me, do you remember Lil
Yeah, I remember some of those. That was clearly a thing.
I think the kick app sucks. When I pause it skips when you unpause, at least for me. How you feel?
I don't know. I haven't really used Kick enough, and I haven't watched any other streamers, so I think it skips because it doesn't have a rewind feature, so if you pause, it just goes to the current spot on the stream. I'm feeling good, though. Jasmine and I went out to her favorite restaurant, so had a nice chill day, ate some good food. Thanks for the donation, though, Jalen. Donate $2. Let me take a look. Hamas supporters gather in Times Square, New York City to celebrate Y-Day's attack against Israel. Resistance is justified. Holy fuck. Bro, they're killing innocent civilians. They're killing innocent people.
Maybe you could call Canute. He's live on Kick right now. Maybe you could talk about training or something.
Who the fuck is Canute? Oh, that guy. Okay, he's pretty jacked. I think when I saw him, he wasn't quite as big. I don't know if he takes as much gear now. Yeah, that guy's definitely on steroids, for sure. Okay, yeah, I remember him from the Kick or Keep stream. I'll consider it. I'll consider it. Thanks for the donation, Mr. Asshole. Jalen donate $2. It does seem like Kick app donations come faster. Nobody can donate through the app on my page, I don't think. I think you're talking about Streamlabs. So it seems like the chat is much more up to date. There isn't like a delay in the stream like with YouTube. So it's just the stream delay, not the how fast the donations come through. Thanks for the donation though, Jalen. Yeah, the people at that protest are just fucking wackos. If they were attacking valid military targets, you could maybe make that claim, but they're killing innocent people. Justin, BLM Antifa members in New York at today's All Out for Palestine demonstration in Times Square after Hamas launched terror attacks against Israelis chanting, "There's only one solution, intifada or revolution. Resistance is justified when people are colonized." Oh boy. Well, this is why I will never say I'm a Black Lives Matter supporter. What is this? The context of this? I don't know what the context of that is exactly. After the Supernova Music Festival in Israel, where Hamas gunned 260 people. Yeah, wow. That was a really well-planned terror attack. Dude, how the fuck can you hear about a story where 260 innocent people were gunned down and then support that? You have to be absolutely psychotic and out of your fucking mind. Like, holy shit, bro.
The final.
Jalen, do you tell us when you move, will you have garden? What crops will you plant? We might make a garden. We're definitely going to try planting potatoes. But we'll see. Thanks for the donation, Jalen.
Kiss from a distraught father.
And wife and their children. The rest are injured in the hospital.
Yeah, that is nutty, dude. Damn it, not Kijiji. Looks like he's playing Red Dead.
This game is a prison for me. This game is a fucking prison. Gotta love it.
$2, let me see. Famous YouTuber Aisha Speed comes forward to show his support for Palestine.
Is it Vegan Gains the real one? Or is it the fake one? I see you. We can talk a little bit. If you want to. I'm just Knut on... I can't stay for really long. But yes, on Discord. Kick channel because of a YouTube ban. Okay. You can be a little bit extreme. Okay. Let me check.
Yo, I just got this message from Chunks, bro. This is honestly insane for the stuff that's going around in Palestine, man.
Knut on Discord.
Seriously, prayers to y'all, and I'll...
Should be able to. It's just Knut. Let's see. Yes. Mr. Horse.
How do you fucking add? No, that's not it.
There you go.
Oh, here we go.
Learn to drive.
Hey,
There
dude.
we go. Good evening.
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, somebody told me you're streaming on Kick, and then I googled you. I didn't realize you were that jacked.
Well, I've done bodybuilding. What can we say in the past?
Yeah.
I've quit competing at least and gone more. What can we say? I'm still training and eating fairly the same, but I'm not trying to push any weight or try to get any bigger. I'm just trying to tone down a little bit, stay in shape,
Sure.
more healthy weight.
Yeah, I bulked up to 295. I was trying to bench 405 for the first time. I got up to 380 and then tore my tricep, but it wasn't from training. It was from a mountain bike crash.
That's often how it is in fitness, and you injure yourself on those more not controlled lifts.
Yeah.
Or lifts, whatever movements. It wasn't a lift.
Yeah, so now I've just been dieting for the last few weeks. I'm down to 243. So probably got about 20 more
That's
pounds
a lot of
to
weight.
go. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was dieting super aggressively. I lost about 55 pounds in just 7 weeks.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
Let me see how much my weight is now. Take it over to pounds. 231.
Okay.
That's my weight now.
What's
I've
your height?
dieted down as well. 6.
6
Almost like right below 6'1".
Okay. Yeah, I'm 6'3".
184. So you're a little bit taller as well. About the same size, maybe.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big dude. I saw your bodybuilding photos. You were fucking huge when you were competing, man.
Yeah, but I wasn't that heavy. I was
Really?
down to 212.
Really? Holy shit.
Lowest, but maybe stage weight was a little bit more. With registration, and when I won Arnold Sports Festival UK, the classic physique was, well, the weight at home said maybe like closer to 220, which is the max weight, like right below. But then it came down to 212 when I was at registration a few days later. It can be just different scales showing a little bit different.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
It's hard to tell.
I would have guessed like 250.
No, not more than that. But I was in good condition, at least in that show. So it makes you look bigger compared to the weight.
Yeah, I did 2 bodybuilding shows. The first one I did, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. It was when I was still in my teens. I think I was like maybe 17 or something at the time. Then the second show, I think I was like 23. And I got in great shape and everything. And I came in second last. I think there was only like 6 or 7 competitors. Yeah, I think it was 7. But the guy who beat me, who came in 5th, he didn't even have abs. He was like more muscular than me, but he wasn't in shape. Like you couldn't even see his fucking abdominal muscles. So the judging was fucked.
Yeah, I've been to some of those shows. Like in those,
it was a natural show too. So I think their judging criteria are a bit different. But yeah, it was pretty fucked.
Can also be that, but I have seen different type of judging and different type of shows. So it's a little bit hard, and especially when you're like us, where never I reached any top level or anything. It isn't always the best judges.
Yeah, like it's subjective.
And I've even judged myself a few times, and like the head judge up front said, like, yeah. I can take an example. This isn't bodybuilding, it's bikini fitness. It was like, if someone in bikini fitness looks like they were going up and be a figure, they should automatically be last. That's what the message we got up front. And when the show came, there was one girl. I remember this because I asked, what the hell are you guys doing? She was like way bigger than the others. So she looked like really misplaced in bikini. And I placed her last, like they had told me up front, even though she had maybe the best physique, was way more muscular than the others. And on an international level, she would obviously be winning the show just hands down. But the other judges, if you take this show and what they were saying up front, she should have been last. Like, she would just be, you don't fit, you have competed in the wrong division.
Yeah, I feel like women's divisions are not only really hard to judge, but especially since there's so many male judges, like a lot of the time just the prettier girl wins. I've seen some like open women's bodybuilding, and they fucked over some girls who clearly had a better physique, just in favor of the girl who just looks prettier, like the girl you'd prefer to bang. And bikini's like fucking impossible to judge. There's like 40 fucking competitors on stage. They're all like skinny fake boobs, and like they all look the same. I don't even know how the fuck they judge bikini.
I can tell you, if you can often, on those shows that I was judging, you can often see like, okay, those 3 are top 3. And maybe you could see like 4 or 5, like around that place. And then it comes 6 to 25. It's like one is a little bit better, has a little bit better than the other on one thing, but that second one is way better on another thing. It's impossible to like even agree on how you should place them. It's no chance.
It's a weird class too, because you can't be like too skinny, you can't be too muscular. It's just weird.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And in addition to that, you have to add in skin quality.
Oh, really? Jesus.
Overall appearance, hair, makeup, like
what the fuck?
That's 100% down to. Yeah, it's so stupid. It's 100% down to personal preference at that level.
That's wacky. They should probably just have a physique class and just have like weight categories. That would solve a lot of that problem.
Yeah. They could make it into the same criteria as the men, but just scale it down, obviously.
Yeah, just so like girls aren't on shit tons of steroids. Just have if you just have weight classes, that would solve it probably.
Yeah, and the point of bikini isn't being as big as you need to pump in steroids anyway.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be a reason that you need to. Even though they probably do anyway on a higher level at least.
Yeah, I've seen some bikini competitors and I was shocked how much drugs they were taking. And they were not jacked at all.
No. But that can apply to men as well.
Yeah.
Because you have seen people that okay, you have heard what they're taking, and you can barely see that they have been lifting.
Yeah. I had a buddy at the old gym I used to train at. He was training naturally, and he was working fucking hard. He was consistent in everything. I saw him eating and like bringing all his meals and shit. He worked at the gym. He could not fucking gain at all. And then he took literally all the steroids. He was on fucking Tren, a bunch of orals, and he got to a point where he looked like a natural, but like a natural with decent genetics who's been training for a while, only with a lot of acne.
That is, someone just doesn't have genetics, or there's something they're not doing at some point, or the genetics is just...
Yeah, there are some people who are just really fucked genetically.
Yeah. We have all seen them. So, was there anything specific you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, if you're down, we could chat about veganism maybe a bit, because on that Kick or Keep stream, we didn't really get to talk about that much.
No, because the Kick or Keep isn't a show to have civil discussions
Yeah.
either. It's more who can be the loudest and scream over each other.
Yeah, so like I said on the Kick or Keep stream, I believe animals should have the same rights as human beings. The reason for that is I don't see any substantive differences between humans and animals where it makes sense to take away fundamental human rights like a right to life. So, yeah, I would just ask, like, what traits are an animal, is an animal lacking that if lacking in a human being would justify taking away those sorts of rights from a human being?
First of all, I actually responded to this one on that show.
Yeah.
And I am in the belief that it's just that it isn't a human.
Right. Okay. So how would you define? Yeah. Well, that's fine. I would consider that a trait. So what do you mean by human?
Yeah.
Like, is it like being part of the species Homo sapien? Is there some other idea of, like, I don't know, having human traits like sapience?
No, I would say just all over the species Homo sapiens.
Okay, so
I must say I haven't really been sitting down thinking about all of this, but that is my first thoughts at least.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, for something like this, it probably helps to think about it, but we can suss out this this idea you have.
We can talk about it anyway.
Yeah. So, so by species, do you go by the general scientific definition? Two animals that can interbreed and produce offspring, viable offspring?
That is a part of it, at least.
Okay, so what would your definition of species be?
Definition of species, like, is there any doubt of what I mean when I say, like, all humans is human?
Well, I have my own. Well, you mentioned species. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page when we're talking about species, just so there's no confusion. Because the general scientifically, defined definition of species are animals that can interbreed and produce viable offspring are of the same species. That's the definition, at least.
Well, if there's some, if there is some humans that can't bring an offspring to life, I would still consider them human.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are some people.
Definition.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are some people who, like, physically can't have kids because they, like, don't produce sperm or they don't have a uterus or something like that.
I would still consider them within my definition. They would still be human.
Well, yeah, they would obviously still be human, but I mean, the idea would be if they didn't have that sort of defect, they would be able to interbreed with another human being. So assuming aside from any kind of defects that would prevent somebody from having offspring, you agree with that definition, at least for species that breed sexually or reproduce sexually, that you are a member of the same species so long as you can interbreed and produce viable offspring.
You are a part of that species then, yes.
Okay.
At least for, but human can't breed with any other species, can we? No, we can't.
No. There is some weird, crazy people who've tried to create super soldiers by getting women to have sex with chimpanzees, but that was not successful.
No.
Yeah, but anyway, so if that's the definition you're gonna go with, and that's the trait you named, then supposedly if, say, black people were of a different species none of them could have sex with white people, interbreed and produce viable offspring that would by definition make them a different species, you surely wouldn't be in favor of killing all black people, right? And like turning them into hamburgers.
And obviously not, but if they were, if this was the case, then I would probably go with my definition would probably be a little bit different as well.
Yeah, so
my definition is how it is right now, so
well,
that would be, then we would have to reconsider a little bit how we're
the
approaching
point,
it.
Yeah, the point I would make is I don't think you really care about species, because clearly if you cared about species, you'd be fine with like killing black people if they weren't part of the human species. So I think you care about other characteristics like, I don't know, sapience. So like wisdom, sentience, the ability to think and feel, things like that.
No, not really, no. But when you put it like, when you say like, for example, black people, or we could take white people as well. Doesn't matter what we use. Let's say white people is it race that couldn't do it? No, I wouldn't be for killing all of them either. But this is a very unlikely, or I feel like that isn't. How can I word myself here? English isn't my first language. I have to just say sorry because I need to think about this as well. I feel like this is so far away from the reality we live in that we would have to redefine the whole thing.
Well,
if like white people were dogs, considered a part of the species, dogs, I mean, I would probably have a different view on it.
Yeah, so I mean, you could, in theory, have, say, a hypothetical situation where human beings and dogs could interbreed and produce viable offspring. I don't think that would really change your opinion on dogs, though.
I mean, I don't eat dogs either, but...
well, it could be like pigs, it could be chickens, it could be cows.
Yeah, I get your point.
Yeah, so I don't think you really value species.
It's hard to tell because you're pulling it away from the reality when you're trying to make your point. But you make your point of what you think I care about.
Well, these hypotheticals are used to test your values. So even though the hypothetical isn't reality, there's no logical problem with the hypothetical. And what is true, what is the reality, is that these are your moral principles. So if you are faced with these ethical issues, your principles would guide you in these directions. And if you have an issue with the outcome of these hypotheticals given your own moral values, then clearly there's an issue with your moral value. There isn't an issue with the hypothetical unless you can outline some sort of logical problem with a hypothetical. So, like, I mean, again, if you're not going to be okay with, say, murdering black people and turning them into hamburgers because they're not part of the human species, that would be a contradiction on your part. So, obviously, something like species isn't what you really value when it comes to determining who should and shouldn't have rights.
But the thing is, when you pull that one, you have to take away something that I would be against now, and then twist it into something I should believe that we could do, like turning people into into hamburgers, as you said, as an example. Because all of our morals is something we have been taught up through our lifetime, right? You agree on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going to have, your own developed intuition on things, but like these are logical problems. So if you're going to say species is the differentiator that will grant rights. And then
I might have the wrong definition when I'm choosing the words here, because as I've said, we haven't talked much about this. So the definition of we're using species at the as the thing we value might be the wrong word.
Okay. Do you want to maybe explain some of the ideas you have then?
I am grown up with that it is okay to eat animals, and I see no reason why it shouldn't be that, personally. And for me, that is a valuable food source. That is some of the things I can explain.
Well, I mean, black people could be a food source.
Well, it happens to be that it isn't.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't, but I mean, they could be. So could dogs. So could cats.
They are in parts of the world as well.
Yeah, unfortunately. And I mean, like, the issue here is this isn't about like how you've grown up. You could grow up in a culture where you eat cats and dogs. There are cultures.
And then I would probably have thought that was normal as well.
Yeah.
And fine.
And I mean, there are, in fact, cultures that eat people. In Uganda, there's a big human meat trade. I think the North Sentinelese might be cannibals. And there are some cannibals. It's another island, I think in Papua New Guinea. So there are tribes people that practice cannibalism to this day, and they see that as normal. Like, obviously, that's not something you'd agree with. So, like,
no,
obviously...
but I think that is... I would believe that I don't think that is okay, because of what the values I've grown up with, that I've teached from my culture, right?
But, like, the point is, if you're going to say, because I grew up this way, it's okay, then other people who've grown up other ways where killing and eating people is okay. But you wouldn't say on that basis, it's okay to kill and eat people because you grew up that way.
No, I would obviously say the opposite, but each on their own. Like, if a culture that is totally separated from mine thinks that is okay, everyone there is okay with it, I must say I have nothing against them living like that either.
Okay, so if you knew of a culture that was killing and eating human beings, you would not have a problem with that?
Personally, no.
Okay, is there anything...
As long as they all are fine with it, that isn't my case to
okay,
myself.
Sure. Okay, so...
That comes down to a lot of other things, and obviously they would have to live with it as well. That's up to them.
Okay, so what if, say, there was a culture that was committing a Holocaust against an ethnic minority, but the ethnic majority was okay with it? Would you be okay with that so long as it wasn't affecting you?
If I would personally, I would obviously think it was horrible. But it isn't something I could do anything with.
So I mean, you wouldn't say be in favor of lobbying the government to commit some sort of military action to prevent that?
I'm talking about if someone is living on a way different part of the world. We're not talking about the same culture that lives in my country or in...
So
there must have been such a distance that this isn't affecting us. This isn't...
Right, so if it wasn't affecting you, you wouldn't be in favor of lobbying your government to send over, like, your military to stop that?
No.
So
I don't think we should start going to sending in armed forces to do anything about other cultures that lives in their ways, because we don't agree with them.
Okay, so you would not be in favor of say, supporting military action against Nazi Germany, who were Holocausting Jews, so long as it doesn't affect your country.
But no. Now you're pulling it to something I didn't say. The Jews wouldn't agree in this. That isn't a part of the German culture or the German society to kill Jews. That you're suddenly having one attacking another one.
Well, I just asked you about that specific hypothetical.
No, obviously not, because then it is something, and when it comes to Nazi Germany, they have attacked us as well.
Well, right, but so assuming they didn't. Right, assuming they didn't.
But they're attacking another people, and then it's something else, because then it isn't one culture living their life in harmony and having whatever they like.
Again, assuming Nazi Germany didn't invade any other countries and they were only killing Jews within Germany, you would not have a problem with that?
No. Again, the Jews and the Germans then would be two separate... not species, or so, but it would be two separate cultures where one is attacking another one.
Okay, but they're within the same country.
Yeah, but it still isn't.
I don't even understand how you could say it's a separate culture. Like they're not attacking people based on culture.
There's one religion attacking another. Religion.
Well, it's not religious.
That is attacking.
It's ethnicity. So
no, Jews,
they would track down
ethnicity. Jews is a religion, and Nazis
it's an ethno-religion. It can be defined as both a religion and an ethnicity.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
So, like, a lot of these Jews are part of the German culture. They're just being selected for their.
But now we're far into. A whole different discussion than veganism.
Well, it is about veganism. Like, you're
absolutely not.
It absolutely does relate. Like, I mean,
no.
You on one hand,
you're trying to twist words or twist what I'm saying into completely different examples that has nothing to do with what we are talking about.
Well, look, my point. It's totally related. My point is, in order to justify meat eating, you have to also justify things like cannibalism.
Killing of humans.
Yeah.
No, I don't have to justify that at all.
Well, you absolutely have had to. When we talked about, so you absolutely have had to, or else it would lead to a contradiction. So when you mention species,
I said we shouldn't kill other humans.
Yeah, and when we talked when we talked about black people being part of a different species, you said you wouldn't be in favor of it, which led to a contradiction.
Let's say white people weren't a part of the human race, and me and you, we were black. Then we would have a different view on white people, right? That we wouldn't see them as the same.
Okay, well, I am black.
Not the point in the hypothetical where white people isn't human anymore.
Right. I wouldn't care if white people were human. I'd care that they're like conscious creatures and can think and feel. Okay. I'd care about those things. I wouldn't care if they're a different race or a different species.
Okay, but then we have different things we care about.
Well, I don't think we really do fundamentally, and it was shocking to me that you'd say you're fine with other cultures killing and eating each other. Like, are you not in favor of the idea of universal human rights?
To a certain point, if those who are a part of it agrees in it. But if someone chooses to not be a part of it, I think they should be allowed to do that.
Well, okay, let me ask you this then. Let's say there's a tribe of cannibals, okay? They live in a culture where they kill and eat each other. Some of those people don't want to be killed and eaten, but they're part of that culture. Are you saying it would be wrong to kill and eat those people who don't want to be killed and eaten?
Yes, but it wouldn't be our. It isn't something we automatically should have been mixed into.
Okay, but so wait. So you're saying if you're part of a culture, you don't want to be killed and eaten. You think there should be no intervention from an outside culture to stop that from happening.
And look at North Korea right now. How much military force are we sending in there to take care of the population? We don't even do that at this point.
There's
They're not being-
huge
they're not being-
there's geopolitical reasons why we don't do that. Because you could end up like killing more people than you'd save. But but ideally, yeah, we would.
We could have yeah. Some would have been killed. That would have happened here as well, and some would have survived, and we would have stopped it for the future.
But I'm just asking you, like, if you see a culture where it is the normal matter of course, where people kill and eat each other, but there are some people who don't want to be killed or eaten, you would see it as a bad thing that those people who don't want to be killed and eaten are getting killed and eaten?
Like there's a lot of the society that I live in that I don't want to be a part of. There's a lot of society that I live in right now that I absolutely don't want to be a part of, that I'm forced to be a part of just because I live here.
Well, sure, but it's a yes or no question.
And I am highly against it. No, it isn't a yes or no question. That's why I'm answering you like this. There's a lot already that I am against on a high level, that I take distance myself from in our society here where I live, and I have no choice. And so no one was sending in any military help to help me.
Okay, well, I'm not asking
same with
you
you.
about that.
Same with you. I think that is an answer to your question.
Well, no, I'm just wondering from your own personal perspective, if you were to know of a outside culture that was living on an island, people were killing and eating each other, and there were people who were getting killed and eaten who didn't want to be killed and eaten. Would you see that as something morally wrong or morally good or morally neutral?
I would see that as a morally wrong.
Okay. But not to a point where you'd be in favor of, say, sending in a military force to prevent that from happening.
To force them to do something else?
Yeah.
I personally don't think that should have been done, no.
Okay. So in a comparable scenario...
That will also involve shooting and killing, most likely, and forcing.
Well, sure, but I mean, that would end up preventing deaths, like rights violations in your view. So it would end up being a better moral situation.
For me, yes, but not for them.
Well, it would be. You'd be preventing people who don't want to get killed and eaten from getting killed and eaten.
How do you know that? We don't know this tribe.
Well, it's assumed in the hypothetical there are people who don't want to be killed and eaten. Like, I don't think anybody wants to be killed and eaten.
Some people do. Really few, but some.
Well, yeah, there's like fetishists, but I mean, you're talking about incredibly few. But
I will tell you one thing. There's insane what if a human is teach something from their young. It's insane what they can wish and what they can be used to and think that this is the right thing to do.
Okay, but from your own perspective, like, okay,
From my perspective, I would think it's morally wrong.
Well, right. So in a comparable scenario, if Nazi Germany hadn't invaded the rest of Europe and they had just decided to Holocaust the Jews, you would have an issue with that, but you wouldn't be in favor of sending in a military force to stop that.
Yes.
Okay. I think...
Because then it's one group of people attacking another group of people because of that is not in the same, like in the first scenario they were in the same group. Here we're talking different groups.
Well, they are different. Well, they are the same group. They're all Germans. It's just that ethnic minorities are being targeted. So you would be in favor.
That wasn't the first example. Wasn't ethnic minorities. We're talking from the same group.
Okay, I mean, I don't know why that is meaningful at all. So, like,
because that is my moral compass says that is meaningful.
So if you saw all white people, for whatever reason, singling out other white people and holocausting them, you wouldn't have enough of an issue with that to send in some sort of military force. But if you saw white people holocausting black people, you would send in a military force.
Now you're twisting it a little bit again, but we're so far away from the original topic that I'm not the.
This is related because
but humans and animals for me isn't the same.
Well, right, but we're trying to determine what your values are for why you think
my
it's
values
okay.
are because I'm teach that this is correct, and this is how we live. This is how we have lived for a long time, and I understand that people like you can have a different opinion, but I don't agree with them.
Okay, but the issue with that is we could have people who are raised to think Jews should be holocausted, and on that
there
basis
are some
alone,
people that are raised to that as well.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think because they were raised to believe that it's okay. So I don't know how you could use that as justification in your case.
I'm raised to believe something different.
Right, but if you're going to say because you're raised in this way, it is therefore okay, then somebody raised in another way, it would therefore be okay.
But you are raised, maybe not raised, but you have been affected by exactly the same things as me, your environment, maybe something in childhood. To believe the opposite.
Well,
that's the only reason. You don't have any more reasons, but you're trying to make some logical conclusions for yourself for why you think it is morally wrong. There's nothing harder than that. That is on your end as well. And then you have gone through the internet and seen some arguments that some people have made, and you have made it into your own opinions, mixed them a little bit together. That's how it is. That's how all of our opinions are based.
So
there's no one.
Your culture and upbringing can certainly influence, what you view as right or wrong, but I'm not going to claim that because I was brought up in this way, it is therefore right or wrong. Like, if I did that, then literally anything would be right or wrong. If I was raised to think Islam, like radical Islam, is the right way, and I should, bomb innocent people and kill Jews, I'm not going to use my upbringing to justify that being okay.
No, but you could have done that. A lot of people do.
Well, I could have, but
not a lot of some people do. But I would have disagreed with you then as well, because I have a different upbringing and a different moral compass.
Right, but do you?
And I don't believe any humans has any the logical conclusion we are drawing is based on what we are taught.
Right, but you understand
based on what is.
You understand if you're going to use your upbringing as a justification for killing animals, you could use upbringing for a justification for killing Jews. You can use upbringing for a justification to enslave black people. You could use upbringing as justification to rape women.
That has, and this has been done at all times.
Okay, so do you think nothing is wrong because people have been brought up in a way that made them do these things?
I think it's wrong. But I don't think there's any this is the gold standard that was right or wrong. No.
Well, right. There's no objective way to prove something is right or wrong. It's all personal preferences. But again, if you're going, if you're going to claim that what you're doing is right, on the virtue of you were brought up to believe this, that would mean anybody who's brought up to believe anything would be morally right.
What do you think a terrorist says when he puts on a bomb belt and
I don't think you're
blows himself up? He would say exactly the same, because this is what God has said. And
I don't
that's
think
what
you're
he has been
understanding.
brought to.
I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying.
I don't
you're
think.
saying,
No. I understand what you are saying, but I don't think you understand what I'm saying. I'm saying your logical conclusions aren't more logical than what you think it sounds logical. This isn't a math question where 1 + 1 = 2. This is all based on your personal beliefs. Because for me, when you say that it is the same, you compare killing the Germans killing Jews in the Second World War is the same as me wanting to eat something from an animal. I think you sound just straight up crazy.
Okay, but when we ran the reductios, you mentioned species. It led to a logical contradiction.
No, it didn't.
Well, it did. You said you both didn't want to kill people or kill beings that were part of the same species.
Yeah, but it would have been a logical. It wouldn't have been logical if, in your example, black people weren't humans anymore. Then it would have been something else, because then suddenly my arguments of the world I live in wouldn't be reality anymore. Then it would have been something else.
Okay, so if you claimed you value species...
The thing is, I'll tell you, the thing, when you're bringing up black people aren't human, then you would have to totally go out of your moral compass and think, how would the world have been now? How would we have looked at black or white people, for that matter? It doesn't matter what race it is. We would have looked at them in a whole different way, maybe, or maybe we would have seen them as our own, like we do right now.
Right.
So that's impossible to compare. It's a really bad comparison.
No, we're talking about your values right now, and your values right now lead to a contradiction. If black people weren't part of the human species, you would not be in favor of killing and eating black people, but that would violate your value of species. That's a contradiction.
But it happens to be that black people are the same species.
Yeah, but we're talking about the hypothetical. You said you both would and wouldn't value species. That's a contradiction.
I would understand that you black people would think it was okay to slaughter us if we white people never had been human, on the same way as you slaughter cows or sheep. I could understand that, yes.
Okay, well, then I've proven my point. The only way to justify meat eating is to take away human rights.
No, because there isn't human rights. Because then there wasn't a human anymore.
Well, yeah, technically, but what we would, well, at least most people would grant black people personhood if the only difference was species. So you would be in favor of taking away...
But the point... No, that is so stupid. Because then the human rights would have been totally different. Maybe we would have included, in your example, black people.
We would still consider black people
into them.
We would still consider black people. They would be given personhood. And you would be in favor of killing
we don't
them.
know that. We don't know that if that would have been totally separate, they would have been living. Not been living like humans. Maybe that.
Well,
it's totally different.
If
it's impossible to answer.
So, dude, if we go by the definition of species that we agreed upon, ability to have viable offspring, then we could in the future see species differentiation between races. If in the next few years, if in the next few years it turned out that there was species differentiation between black and white people and we couldn't interbreed anymore, you wouldn't change your opinion on black people, would you?
No,
you wouldn't
no,
start
but
thinking it's okay to kill and eat them.
And no, but we would probably have to redefine what human rights were if it
No, we
wasn't the
wouldn't.
same species.
No, we wouldn't.
Yeah, 'cause we would
just
we would have
grant
to
them. We would just keep having them have human rights. Why would
Exactly,
we redefine
but
what
that-
human rights are?
No. Now you go talking out of the point there again, because then if a race weren't human anymore, we would obviously include them, since this would be a part of our society.
Well, they could still be part of our society. There's just species differentiation.
Exactly. Then we would have to redefine it if there was someone that grew out in evolution, made them to not be humans anymore.
Why would we
not the
have to
same
redefine
species.
the human rights code?
Because the now suddenly someone that we have been living side by side or with isn't what they were anymore.
Okay, why? Like, you're not explaining why we'd need to redefine the human rights code. Why wouldn't black people just automatically have human rights?
If they weren't human anymore, as you're saying in your example.
Yeah, we would just let them still have human rights.
We would have let them have the same rights, and but if they're not human, as you're saying, then they obviously would have to call it something else.
No, we wouldn't.
Now we're arguing just stupid thing that has nothing to do with this.
What?
This is just
Can you give me-
definitions of something.
Can you give me, like, the worst case scenario of not, like not calling it, not changing the definition from human rights to human rights and black rights? Like, what's the worst case scenario if we don't redefine it?
If they don't go under today's definition anymore.
Yeah, like, let's say black people had species differentiation.
And let's say we're not using black people. Let's say we're using dogs. Would have in the past they had human rights, but now they're not. Now they have become dogs. That's a better example. Then they wouldn't be under the definition of human rights anymore.
Well,
so now if we want to give them any specific rights, we would have to redefine them. If we want to have the same rights, they should have the exactly same rights as we do.
So, again, I'm in favor of granting human rights to animals because I don't see a substantive difference. And again, when you've changed your answer now, you've gone from saying you wouldn't be in favor of killing and eating black people, assuming they weren't human, to now, correct me if I'm wrong, saying you would be okay with that?
No, that wasn't what I said.
Okay, so
if for some reason evolution changed one of the today's human races into something else, which is what evolution does sometimes, but it takes millions of years, then they would have a new name. Do you agree on that?
Sure, they wouldn't be Homo sapien.
No, they wouldn't be Homo sapien.
You could call them...
Or
I don't
humans.
know.
You can call...
Like,
whatever name.
So, in all likelihood, the genus would change. It would go from Homo, and then we just name some other kind of genus. You could call it, I don't know, hetero. But the...
For example.
But you'd keep the sapien, so it'd be like heterosapien.
I maybe want to include Homo and both into the new definitions.
Well, Homo is the genus. If you're not part of the same genus, then you're not part of the same species. But that...
the whole point is, what I'm trying to bring up a point here, is that you can't just say if they suddenly couldn't anymore, because then you would have to, then it is something new you would have to put into your moral compass, right? We don't have those moral compass if me and you suddenly are of different species,
Right, but
for some reason.
You wouldn't be in favor of killing me and turning me into hamburgers if it turned out that I wasn't a human, right? Like, what if I was some kind of alien?
Probably not.
Yeah, so
I
that's a
already have
contradiction.
those types of food. No, because I already have those foods I need in the animals I eat.
Right,
I don't need to take in new types of animals. If I find a new type of animal that I haven't seen ever before, it's not automatically, this is something I want to kill and eat.
So, like, again, I see that as a contradiction because, again, you claimed species is the trait that allows you to be able to kill and eat animals, and then
it can be multiple factors.
Okay,
it
sure.
doesn't need to be just one.
If it's species, what else is it?
I'm not sure. I would have to see something. It's, for example, I don't see dogs at food.
Right.
But we still kill them at the veterinary if it is something we don't put that much value into them as we do to humans, but we don't kill them just for food, for where I'm from.
Right. And you wouldn't feel comfortable, like, killing and eating a dog. Like, would that make you feel sad because you like dogs or something?
Could do. I haven't done it before, so but I would guess so, yes.
Okay, like, again, I don't see a meaningful difference between, like, a dog and a cow.
I do.
Well,
I'm grown up on a farm, and I do.
Okay, well, so what's the meaningful difference then?
Because for me, we have brought up, it wasn't cows, but it was sheep, but doesn't matter. We have brought them up for food because it's needed. And we have had dogs as work animals and pets.
So based on what an animal is bred for, that is what gives it a right to life?
Because this is what I have learned from I was a kid. What to value.
Okay, again, if you're going to grant a animal or a human being or any creature a right to life or not grant
Listen, if
right.
your parents teach, if you
listen, if it's on that virtue of upbringing, then that could justify anything. That could justify a Holocaust. I was brought up to hate Jews.
Yeah, and if your parents brought you up to eat and kill white people, you would think that was okay, even though people told you differently.
Right, but again, if you're going to say on that virtue, upbringing is what justifies murder, then that would justify Nazi Germany. You would have to admit that's morally acceptable because they were brought up to believe that.
No, I don't have to.
You would have to, or else it's a contradiction.
No, it isn't a contradiction.
You're saying that upbringing both does and does not grant you...
Upbringing gives you the moral compass that you have, and it doesn't mean that it's a right or wrong for others. People have different values.
Okay, are you saying... Okay, it sounds like you're saying two different things, because on one hand, you're saying that your upbringing justifies murder, but then on another hand, it sounds like you're saying your upbringing makes you believe that murder's okay. Those are two very different statements.
For me, it justifies my beliefs. Because we disagree in this, and it's just a thought that you have.
Then that would lead to a contradiction. If you're saying your upbringing justifies something like murder...
No. Upbringing makes my moral compass think it's okay to do a thing.
Okay, so your moral compass makes you believe that it's okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay, well, that's not what's
exactly,
really... Okay, well, I don't really care if you believe that. I'm trying to understand why...
No.
I just want to know, like, what the justification is.
It isn't more advanced. Just the same as yours.
Well, no.
You think that
you're saying two different things again. You're saying two different things.
No.
On one hand, you're saying, well, I just believe this because of my upbringing. I want to know how
But
you justify
listen,
something.
What you say is just how you justify it yourself, and you don't say anything else than me. You're saying exactly the same. I
I'm
believe
not.
that animals should. Yes, you're saying I believe that animals should have the same rights as humans because I think they have the same value. That's what you're saying.
No, I think
And
animals. Wait, listen. My statement was, I think animals should have the same rights as human beings because I don't see a substantive a substantive difference between humans and animals that would justify killing animals, not granting rights to
I
animals.
see a substantive difference.
Right, but I want to know what that is, and then like when I ask, your statement is, well, I was brought up this way, and then you keep explaining that in two different ways.
No. No, because when I say that they're not human, that's what I am teach. Then then you're saying, yeah, but if black people weren't
we've
human,
gone
but
through
they
that.
are.
Yeah, so we've gone through that,
and if they weren't human, I might have been brought up differently than I am today. That's exactly the same
we're
as
talking
you.
about how you're
This
brought
is
up
just
now.
your
We're not
morally
talking
belief.
about we're not talking about a hypothetical scenario where you lived an entirely different life. We're talking about your beliefs right now. So, like again, that led to a contradiction where you both value and don't value species. So you have two options. Either
because you changed a part of the human species into not being a part of the human species to try to bait in this into being race against race.
Well, we're testing your hypothetical.
You're totally illogical.
We're testing your values
as well.
We're testing your values. With this hypothetical.
My value is that it isn't human, and black people is human.
In the hypothetical, they're not human.
Yeah, but in a hypothetical, you can't just compare that. Maybe I don't know how it would be if black people weren't human. I don't know how it would have been if we were two separate species.
Well,
there might have been a way different.
I'm not asking you about what
same.
you think you would believe in a different world scenario. I'm asking what you would believe now.
Yes, that's what you do. That's what you. Now I would have, since we have been the same species all the time, I would have seen them exactly the same. But I don't do that towards a cow, a sheep, a chicken, because I have never had them as the same species. It's up to now.
Okay, well,
it's not hard to understand.
Right. Okay. Well, I think we're kind of talking in circles at this point, but I just want to say
you are doing that because you can't accept my argument.
Well, your argument leads to a contradiction, and you're not willing to acknowledge that.
No,
that's
you're not. You are dragging this into something it isn't, and then it suddenly can sound like it leads to a contradiction, but it isn't.
Okay, well, we're talking in circles, so I think we'll just end the debate there.
We can do that. We can talk about bodybuilding if you want to.
Yeah, but thanks for the chat. I'm just gonna, go back to my stream and react to stuff. But thanks for the chat. We should just talk training or something next time, unless you have other ideas on veganism.
I think veganism is okay for those who want to eat vegan food only. I have nothing against that.
Sure.
I'm in the meaning that each on their own, what they choose to do.
Yeah, but next time we can just talk more about training and shit. But again, unless you have some new ideas to add to the vegan discussion. But take care, dude.
Have a good evening.
All right, that was a little cancerous.
These people are leftists.
Let me take a look at this, Darth Putin. What do y'all think decolonization meant? Vibes, papers, essays, losers. Holy fucking shit, bro. Yeah, Palestinian terrorists recording a video with a kidnapped Israeli boy they're holding hostage in Gaza, letting young local Palestinian kids abuse him. These people are absolutely fucking cracked if they think that sort of terrorism is acceptable. Leftists preach and foam at the mouth at the thought of a revolution happening in America, but as soon as it happens in the Middle East, what they're doing is wrong. That's not a revolution. They're mass murdering innocent fucking people. Holy shit. And then all that's going to happen is Israel and the U.S. are just going to cooperate and hunt down Hamas and end up killing more innocent Palestinians in the process. What's going on is occupied Palestine is unprecedented. No doubt we'll have wall-to-wall coverage of atrocities now that it's the genocidal settlers on the receiving end. Holy fuck, dude. This is what a liberation struggle looks like. Oh, yeah, sure. You're just justifying the fucking apartheid, and it's only going to get worse for fucking Palestinians if they commit that kind of fucking horrific violence against Israelis. These people are insane. And by the way, you're seeing more and more public support for Palestine, you know, before this fucking terrorist attack. The idea that that sort of apartheid would keep going on indefinitely unless there was terrorist attacks against innocent civilians is fucking insane. Dodo sent me this a while ago. Didn't really get to react to it, but thanks again, Dodo.
Yo, I just got this message from Chunks, bro. This is honestly insane for the stuff that's going around in Palestine, man. Seriously, prayers to y'all, and I'll be donating to y'all. This is making me sick to my stomach, bro. From the bottom of my heart, bro. If you're from Palestine, this is crazy. I love y'all boys. I will be donating to y'all, okay? I love every single one of y'all. And free Palestine, bro.
I don't know what he means by that. I'd be really worried about sending aid to Palestine because that could easily be used for terrorism. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what I Show Speed meant by showing support and donating to Palestine. I have no idea, but little sus, especially after the terror attack. I think there's a second
America's
link.
big cities are facing major problems.
From sky-high interest rates to the reluctance of employees to return to their office.
The impact of higher rates and the banking sector.
Oh yeah, empty office buildings. This is great. So this is especially impacting insurance companies that have a lot of bureaucratic bloat. They ended up renting out these massive fucking office spaces, and sometimes they bought these properties. And they're vacant now. Nobody's occupying them. So they're either paying rent on these huge office spaces, or they bought these massive properties that they can't actually sell or rent out. Hopefully this leads to lower insurance prices in the future, because they're going to have to downsize, like scale back either the amount of employees they have, their office spaces. There's going to be more remote work, which makes, you know, everything cheaper. And hopefully that just makes insurance prices cheaper. It's probably not going to happen. They're probably just going to charge the same price, even though their expenditures are going down. But yeah, fuck these insurance companies.
Stress is hurting smaller businesses across the country.
Many of which can be summed up by a controversial new phrase, the urban doom loop.
The environment is certainly shifting on Main Street, and it's weighing on optimism.
Losses at the bank level, right? There's going to be losses at the investors level, and I think for the cities, right, they're going to have this potential, this urban doom loop.
Columbia Business School professor Stan Van Nieuwerburg coined the term. Here's how it all works.
Early in the pandemic, a lot of office sector workers started working from home. And here we are 3 years later, many of them are still working from home, at least some of the time. All of that has led to a large reduction in the demand for office. We see a lot of companies downsizing. We see a lot of companies not renewing their leases at all and consolidating. And with this demand decline for office comes declines in the revenues for the owners of those offices and value declines in these offices. Declines in property values reduce property tax revenues for the city. The cities have to balance their budget. They now need to cut spending. That means less money for public safety, for sanitation, for transportation, for education. Makes the city a less attractive place to live. People migrate out, property values fall more, less money, more people moving out, and the city gets into an urban doom loop where its fiscal health spirals.
Yeah, that sounds like bullshit to me. Usually it's homeowners that are paying the majority of property taxes, not these large office fucking spaces.
Spirals down.
At the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, remote work policies prompted many employees to leave their city and move to new states. These population outflows have long-term implications for cities, which rely on tax revenues for funding.
Property tax revenue in New York City is about half of all tax revenue. Commercial property tax revenue is about 10% of all tax revenue. So if the value of that falls by 40%, we're talking about a...
Yeah. Wait, let me play that back again.
New York City is about half of all tax revenue. Commercial property tax revenue is about 10% of all...
Yeah. So why the fuck... He's making a big deal out of commercial tax revenue. Like I said, it's mostly, most of it's coming from homeowners.
Tax revenue, so if the value of that falls by 40%, we're talking about a 4% hole in the budget. So if New York City's budget is $100 billion per year,
oh cool, Newt hosted
that's a $4
me.
billion shortfall that has
what
to
a
be made
gent.
up somewhere else. Rich people pay
He's
a
a nice guy.
disproportionate share of income taxes. You know, in New York, for example, a few thousand taxpayers are paying half of all taxes. Migration has become easier because you can leave the city without leaving your job. So if a few rich people or families leave, that could leave a large hole in the budget. The technology sector has been more permissive to remote work, and so those cities tend to be affected the most. You know, think of places like San Francisco, Seattle, West Coast cities sort of more generally.
The urban doom loop isn't just a theory. It's playing out in the real world, with landlords finding themselves financially underwater and regional banks facing a credit crunch.
Haha, fuck you, banks. Yeah, dude. Like, I love how they have this, like, doomer fucking, oh god, like, the world's collapsing, when these large corporations start losing money. But then when your average fucking working stiff has trouble making ends meet because fucking rent is super high and, you know, there's inflation and shit, whatever, you know. But again, when fucking big corporations, big banks, big insurance companies, they start losing money. Oh my god! Fuck you, dude. As if I care. Good. They should fucking lose money. They're pieces of shit.
So when I'm a landlord and I want to buy a building, typically I'm going to buy it with a combination of my own money, my equity, and a piece of debt. Because real estate is such good collateral, banks are generally willing to lend a lot of money. So typically there will be 60, 65, sometimes even 75% debt and 25% equity, right? So that would be a typical financing structure for a commercial real estate building. And then typically the debt will be fixed rate. The only difference is I'm not paying off any principal, which means that 10 years later when my loan comes due, I need to refinance that loan. Now normally that's not a problem because normally the value of my office will have gone up in these past 10 years. But what if it hasn't? What if the value of my office has in fact gone down? So now the bank will look at that office all over again and reassess it. And to the extent it's even willing to give me a new loan, it's going to only want to give me a smaller loan. So now as a landlord, I'm going to have to make a tough choice. Either I come out of pocket and put more money into the deal because the loan that I'm getting now is smaller than the one I need to repay from 10 years ago. So I put in more equity in the deal, or I walk away and I have the right to do that. I can send the keys to the lender and just walk. A lot of the debt is non-recourse, which means the bank has no recourse to my other assets. I can just simply take this one office building that I've borrowed against and just send the keys to the bank. The bank now owns the building. So banks are facing this deterioration in basically the credit quality of these commercial mortgages that they have on their...
Big fucking deal. If banks end up going bankrupt, all they have to do is take out a fucking loan from the federal government and then pay it off with drug money. That's what they always do. Like, what was the fucking estimate? Like, I think Chase Bank was found to be, like, helping traffic trillions of fucking dollars in drugs over, like, a certain period of time. Like, whoopee fucking diddly do. Okay, so they just take out a loan, they're guaranteed to make money, and then they pay it off.
Their books. So these smaller regional banks that have done a lot of local commercial real estate lending, they're now tightening the screws on the credit for the local non-real estate firms as well. That is sort of a traditional credit crunch. Commercial real estate is a very large asset class. There's about $5 trillion of commercial real estate out there. And whether you know it or not, your pension fund might very well have an exposure to commercial real estate directly or indirectly. There's also a part of the equity market called the REIT market, which is the publicly listed real estate space. And again, a lot of folks have exposure to that through a mutual fund, through an exchange traded fund. And those REITs, especially the office REITs, have fallen on hard times in the last several years. Their stocks are often down 50, 60, 70% sometimes.
Occupancy of office getting to 30% below pre-pandemic levels.
The office sector certainly is going to experience more pain than any other sector in the next 2 to 4 years.
With only a small percent of desks occupied around the world 5 days a week and trillions of dollars of commercial and office debt about.
Yeah, that is hilarious to see. Just funny as shit. So again, especially in places like New York, the amount of people who struggle to pay rent, nobody bats an eye. And then there's all this fucking news coverage about huge, massive, multi-billion-dollar corporations are losing money. Like, okay. Wow, it's like they have to wake up to reality, like the reality that most people are fucking facing. Yeah, it's hard to fucking, afford property. Jeez. Poor them. Let's maybe watch this one more news clip on the Israel-Palestine thing. Oh, I'm just gonna go take a quick pee. I'll be right back. Yeah.
$700 Israelis are now feared dead after unprecedented attacks by Hamas militants. It represents.
Who would you rather be forced to have a vegan lunch with, hench herbivore, Earthling Ed or unnatural vegan?
Earthling Ed, for sure. I'm not necessarily a big fan of Ed's content, but it's not like I have any personal issues with him. I have a big personal issue with Hench Herbivore. I think he's a two-faced wacko. Unnatural Not Vegan is, of course, not vegan, and I think she's just cancerous. Ed seems like a nice guy overall. I've met him in person, too, when he was in Toronto for a bit. didn't talk with him much. He seemed kind of shy. But he seems like a nice guy, just in general, so I'd rather have lunch with Ed. Thanks for the donation, though, Flawless Cowboy. Appreciate it.
Maybe now is a better time to try to spam call vegan gains to Arden Ross with 260 viewers.
Maybe. Again, I'd rather just, I'd rather just see if Turkey Tom knows if he has like a line to him and see if I can set something up that way. Thanks for the donation though, Mr. Asshole. You donated $2. Let me see. Oh my god. They're battling for snack. One pigeon says, this is mine, and the other pigeon says, no, this is mine. Oh. Jesus. Plucking out his feathers. It's like, you son of a bitch. That's kind of funny. It's funny how they don't realize there's enough birdseed to go around. Thanks for the donation, though. Jalen donated $2. Why you not like Hench Herbivore? Like I said, he's a two-faced lying whack job. So, after I had the debate with Vegan Foot Soldier, he said I'm not vegan because I'm in favor of killing odd order predators. I offered to debate him on the topic, and he just flat out banned me from his channel. He also made up lies about me and Dr. Avi, claiming we bullied him when all we wanted to do was have a friendly chat about some nutrition claims he made, specifically regarding oil. We just said, hey, we want to talk to you about some of the science about, you know, eating oil. And then he claimed that we were bullying him. The guy is just, like, again, a two-faced whack job. As soon as you do anything to, like, where you disagree with him or you want to, like, say, like, we think you're wrong, can we talk? He will make up lies about you. So he's just a lying jackass. But thanks for the donation, Jalen.
The biggest loss of life in a single day in Israeli history. Hamas, which is designated as a terrorist organization by many Western governments, including the United Kingdom, is still holding out in parts of southern Israel where they're coming under attack by Israeli forces. And Israeli warplanes are now bombing the Gaza Strip, where more than 400 Palestinians are said to have been killed and more than 2,000 injured. And worry is also deepening over the shocking hostage-taking of more than 100 Israelis who are now said to have been taken to Gaza. Our first report tonight is from our defense correspondent, Jonathan Beale, who brings us all the latest. And I should warn you that in his report there are images that you may find distressing.
Israeli troops are still hunting down armed Palestinians. More than 30 hours after their biggest and bloodiest breakout from Gaza into Israel itself. One of the world's most advanced militaries, taken by surprise by Hamas, a militant group kept behind barriers that were supposed to stop this happening. Their attack as brutal as it was brazen. Hundreds killed. For Israel, that's included scores of unarmed civilians as well as soldiers. Already the largest loss of life in decades. Here, the bodies of an Israeli family shot dead, waiting to be identified and buried. Hamas has taken dozens of hostages too, like this 85-year-old grandmother, Yafa Adar,
Holy
whisked
shit.
away by militants in a golf cart. Families too, among them Yoni's wife and their 5- and 2-year-old daughters. He's left anxiously waiting for news and pleading for their safe return.
I want to ask of Hamas Don't hurt them. Don't hurt little children. Don't hurt women. If you want me instead, I'm willing to come.
Israel's Prime Minister, meeting security chiefs this morning, has warned his nation of a long and difficult war ahead. Both sides have already suffered significant losses.
Hamas murdered hundreds of Israelis, men, women and children, and took dozens hostage into Gaza. This horrific terror act demands a forceful, determined and sustained response.
Israel's response has been swift and harsh, despite the massive intelligence failure. Its missiles filmed by our BBC team in Gaza. Jets have been hitting what they say are Hamas positions, but many civilians have also been killed in this densely populated Palestinian enclave. Blockade.
Well, it's been proven before. Israel is pretty indiscriminate when it comes to rocket strikes. So, yeah, some of these are definitely going to be civilian targets.
And nowhere else to flee. Tonight, this is as close.
Hi VG. I hope that I are doing GR8 tonight. Is this a base tweet?
Let me take a look. Let's see, Vishal piecing. Fuck Hamas, fuck the far right of Israel, fuck Israel's occupation and apartheid against Palestine, fuck genocidal ultranationalism of all varieties. Fuck anyone salivating with bloodlust against Palestinian and Israel civilians. Yeah, like, Hamas is a horrible, horrible terrorist organization. There's no justifying what they did whatsoever. I think he has the same position as me. The Israeli apartheid against Palestine is really driving these Hamas terrorist attacks. And the root of the problem is, again, Israel's attacks against Palestine and not letting Palestinians be free. So they have to end the apartheid, they have to create goodwill with Palestine, and then, yeah, just try to obliterate Hamas. So I'd say that's a base tweet. Thanks for the donation, though, Bend Over.
As we can get to Gaza itself, about 5 kilometers in that direction.
No, I didn't see Jordan Peterson's tweet on the whole thing. I'm sure it's stupid.
There's a lot of military activity, jets overhead. Israel has told its citizens living nearby to leave. It's not clear whether that could signal a land incursion by Israel into Gaza itself. But inevitably, this will end up being more bloody still. There's also the risk of escalation. Hezbollah has been firing rockets into Israel from neighboring Lebanon. They say a show of solidarity with Palestinians. This region has long been a tinderbox. And once again, the flames are being fanned. Jonathan Beale, BBC News, Southern Israel.
Jordan Peterson Twitter. Let's see. Hatred isn't hatred when it's directed against the right people, sincerely progressives, masking their hatred of Jews with compassion. Okay, that's a little weird. This is on you, AOC, and your useful idiot compatriots. Sorry, what? Like, does he have just the most pro-Israel take? Like he doesn't realize Palestinians are under an apartheid?
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Nothing in that clip is wrong. Like, Zionism is a genocide.
Whoa. Check out this insane homophobic, transphobic, hateful take from Donald Trump Jr. about the Hamas attack on Israelites.
I'll take a look at that in a second. Thanks for the donation, Ben. Nothing in this clip is bad. Like, it's just really fucking weird. I think it might be in poor taste to come out and have rallies in support of Palestine when there was just a horrific terror attack. But nothing in that demonstration was off. Yeah, Peterson's a bit of a fucking idiot. Senior advisor to a liberal candidate cabinet minister shared an Instagram post condoning Palestinian revolutionary violence. Jesus fuck, dude. So, yeah, some of Jordan Peterson's takes here are just stupid. Like, he's not a smart guy, so he doesn't have, nuanced takes. So Donald Trump Jr.'s deranged, homophobic, and sexist takes on the Hamas attack. As we perpetually indoctrinate our children with weakness, feminize our boys, attack masculine men, glorify trans insanity, etc., just understand that one day the savages you see brutally attacking innocent civilians in the streets of Israel will be on your front door, and you and your loved ones will have zero capability of defending themselves. That's the future the left is creating for you. What sense does that make? So is he saying Israel has a lot of, like, feminine trans men? And that's why Hamas attacked? I don't understand. What? Well, that's Donald Trump's son, so stupid does not fall from the tree. Jalen donated $2. You watch Death Battle. What you think of Megatron versus Frieza? I didn't see the Megatron versus Frieza Death Battle. I would have imagined they would give the win to Megatron, I would think. But we can watch that. Like, why not? Let me just read some of these comments.
Why are hypotheticals so confusing for everyone? How can we explain it to them more clearly like they're 5? People don't understand why it's relevant and how it's used to test what they actually believe.
I don't think hypotheticals are confusing for people. I think people, have these copes with hypotheticals where they're like, oh, but that's not reality, or I want to, like, talk about the real world, that's fiction. I think it's just a cope so they don't have to answer the hypothetical because they know it will lead to, them either, having to adopt an absurd position or admit they're wrong. So I think those are just copes. I don't think anybody really gets confused with hypotheticals. Thanks for the donation, though, coming on. You donated $2. Tucker Carlson has a special guest tonight.
Good evening, folks. Welcome back to the show. Our next guest, a humble shopkeeper from the land of Korodai. We are going to discuss the rise of his wares due to inflation and why he has increased the prices of his lamp oil, rope, and bombs by a whopping 500 rupees apiece. So, Mr. Morshu, why has everything in your stock skyrocketed in price?
Well, Tucker, my shop is a little off the grid, and I need to make ends meet. So, I had to give a smidgen of a price increase to all of my wares.
Are you not alienating potential customers with the price hike?
I have this one customer, Link. He is a frequent Patreon of Morshu's Aras, and I need to supply him with lamp oil, rope, and bombs on the daily.
Your shop is called Morshu's Aras? Well, you heard it here first, folks. So anyway, you mentioned the popular lamp oil, rope, and bombs, but what typical wares do you also sell?
Ooh, it's a big list. I have the typical cereals, Captain Crunch, cornflakes, etc., but I also have a selection of behind-the-counter goods such as tobacco, alcohol, condoms, Pokemon cards, Viagra. You get the idea.
Let's say, for example, I wanted to buy a tub of Viagra. Now, this is just as an example. Don't get me wrong or anything, but how much exactly would that set me back?
Viagra, you want it? It's yours, my friend, as long as you have 2,500 rupees.
2,500 rupees?
That's pretty good.
These zip ties.
Zelda, what was it? For the CDI, that was a good meme. Thanks for the nation that we. Jalen, don't need to tell ours it's not out yet, only a sneak peek. Okay. Let me see. There's got to be a bunch that I missed, though. Maybe we can watch a few. Guts versus Dimitri from Fire Emblem. I'm not familiar with that. Might want to check that out. Martian Manhunter versus Silver Surfer. That's a tough one. I would think Martian Manhunter would probably end up winning because he can phase through objects. Like, he could just never get hit. Rocket Raccoon versus Stitch. Maybe we can watch a few of these. But most important video, zip ties.
Ties cost over $300. And these zip ties only cost about $1. Oh! But why would you spend $300 on zip ties when you can just go to Harbor Freight and get the cheap ones? Today we're testing these and a bunch of other.
Here's the OG nigger bitch Candace Owens obliterating trans WO key. Oh, this isn't YouTube, so I'm gonna straight up and wish death on all niggers, trannies and free Palestine bitches.
Sure.
Homophobic and transphobic rhetoric and rants just further prove our point that we have to fight loudly to be respected. The reason that LGBTQIA+ rates are so high in this country, it's because there are people like you who make us feel like we don't belong.
Okay, is there a question in there or a speech?
Yes.
You gotta ask a question, buddy.
How do you think other people with your beliefs respond to the fact that your hateful and harmful rhetoric costs the lives of queer children every single day, on average, every 45 seconds?
Okay, so this is just gonna be a pure boogeyman. You're pretending that someone committed suicide because of Candace Owens. You've got no facts here. I sat down with a man named Walt Heyer who was convinced to chop his penis off after your community told him that there was something wrong with him because he had confusion. Why was he trans? Because he was molested when he was 4 years old by his uncle.
Oh my god. So, it's a well-established fact that LGBTQ kids are more likely to get bullied. And that results in more suicide. And there is no way for her to know why somebody would identify as trans. It could be genetic, there could be social factors, there could be traumatic factors. I don't know why she's making a claim like that.
Rather than being sat down and spoken to by a psychologist, he was handed hormone pills, and he eventually chopped off his penis.
This is such a bizarre claim because most trans women don't actually get bottom surgery. That's pretty rare. I think it's like somewhere between 1% and 3% of trans women actually get bottom surgery to get basically a vagina, the inverted penis thing. So to use that example as like some generalization against like how the trans community causes harm.
Rates go up after they transition.
Suicide rates do not go up after they transition. They go down.
After they transition. And Candace Owens wasn't
That is a lie. They go down after they transition.
the one that chopped their dicks off.
Yeah, she just lied. Candace Owens is a piece of shit. Thanks for the nation, though, Kid Boo.
Tools to figure out if you really need to spend more money or if you can get away with the cheap stuff. Oh, there's some stuff stuck in there. I'm Jeremiah, he's Zach. Welcome to Donut. Now we have 10 zip ties that are currently holding this engine up, and a pack of 100 of these zip ties costs $304. Now the reason they're so expensive is because they're made out of Tefsil. And Tefsil, it's just a brand name type of plastic that's really resistant to corrosive elements. Now these zip ties, these cost $1.89 for 100 of them at good old Harbor Freight. They're just a standard nylon zip tie, but both of these zip ties are rated at a tensile strength of 50 pounds. Now we weighed this engine, it weighs in at just over 400 pounds, so we're gonna cut one zip tie at a time and see how many zip ties are left when this thing drops to the ground. I'm gonna cut the first one off. Okay. Simultaneously really like this and hate it. Okay, you ready? Yep. Going down to 8. Oh God. Whoa.
Yeah, it seems dangerous.
9, it takes 9. It takes 9. All right, so we're strapping up our cheap Harbor Freight zip ties now, and we've put 15 on there just in case 10 can't do it. Since these are so much cheaper, the concern is that they're not gonna do as good as the expensive ones. So we're starting with 15 here, but you know what? I have faith that we're gonna get down to 7 zip ties before this engine drops. We're halfway through that. I'm trying to only get one at a time. Okay, 14. Okay, 13. 10. Oh, that had a little pop to it.
If we get one more, they're even with the $300 zip ties.
Okay, so this takes us down to 9?
This takes us down to 9.
Oh!
So it's better. We failed at 9 last time.
Failed clipping to 8.
We're even Stevens right now.
Damn, I'm jealous of the white man that got to cream pie that black pussy multiple times. She's the only black bitch I'd date. All these other black nigger bitches wear weaves, coconut grease in their hair, obese, loud mouths, highest STD rates, etc.
Well, Candace Owens is a moronic piece of shit, so I don't think you should be too jealous. Thanks for the donation, Kid Boo.
Ow.
Okay.
So this is for all the marbles?
This is for all the marbles. This is to take the lead.
Get fucked.
7 zip ties before this engine drops.
Oh! 6! What can't they do? 5? Hey,
She was.
that's a frickin' win. I cut through 11 of these zip ties. I was cutting the 5th to leave 4 zip ties holding the engine up when it fell.
Dude, imagine paying $300 for zip ties that aren't even as strong. Like, what kind of corrosive material would you normally have to deal with? Like, unless you're, using zip ties on something that has to be, like, in an engine or something, where there's, like, I don't know, gasoline or brake fluid or something, but, like, when the fuck would you ever do that?
Oh, that's a huge improvement over your expensive, insane zip ties.
How much were these? $1?
$1.89, baby.
For $1.89, you can't go wrong if you need a hoister engine with some zip ties. All right, Zach, so clearly Harbor Freight takes the W in this case. But the real reason these are so expensive is something we're gonna get to right after this message from our sponsor. Thanks to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring today's runs from now through October 20th. Rises.
Oh, 2? Ultimate.
Not real. That one you made up. Don't use that, people.
Hey, would this face lie?
For free, they're able to withstand higher temperature and still maintain their tensile strength. All right, so Job is setting up our rig here. What we have is a bucket. We're gonna put 50 pounds in it, and it's gonna be suspended by either the Harbor Freight or the expensive zip tie. We have a heat gun that's gonna be blasting heat directly onto the zip tie itself. So we're gonna see which one can stand up to the heat the longest. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Ever since I was little, I would look like fun. 13, 13.63 seconds.
You ready, Joe?
Yeah, are you ready?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
That was quick. All right, Jer, what do you think? Which one's going in the toolbox? Which one you stashing? Which one you trashing?
Dude, I'm stashing all HF all day, every day. No way am I paying $3 a zip tie.
Okay, now we're testing air hammers. I've got my Harbor Freight unit, $12.99.
And I got my Jupiter pneumatic, $277 pneumatic air hammer.
Hey, yours is longer.
It is. It's got a longer snout.
Now, an air hammer is a great tool for doing things that you would do with a hammer, but just by pulling a trigger, you can do it hundreds of times a minute. And these fit into tight spaces where it's hard to swing a hammer. Right off the rip, this feels, it feels like a standard air tool. It's cheap, but that's what Harbor Freight's known for.
Okay, so let's talk some specs. This is around 4 CFM.
Cubic feet of air per minute is just the rate of usage of air. These are compressed air tools, so knowing how much air they consume as you use them is important because that lets you know whether or not your compressor can handle running them.
Well, Joe, we actually have some studs right here.
Spectacular.
And what we're gonna do is we're gonna time how fast we can hammer out these studs on this wheel spacer. Yeah, but
3, 2, 1, go.
You wanna try it?
I mean, listen.
Come on.
Honestly,
you're giving a
it looks like you're doing everything you could do.
3, 2, 1. 25 seconds.
It's all in the hips, Jer.
I'm leaning like a mother.
It's in the hips. Okay, now we've got a fresh spacer with 5 fresh studs. We're gonna try out the Harbor Freight gun, time it, see who comes out victorious. That one is not coming out. Hasn't moved at all. Let's try another. I think that stud is stuck. All right, well, interesting result.
That thing is pretty cool. I could actually use something like that pretty often.
I guess expensive gun worked better. So I don't know. I mean, this is the type of thing where it's like if you need a light duty air hammer that you're going to use once or twice, yeah, $13 is fine. Right. But if
Oat Goat says hi, well, hello, Oat Goat.
If you're working on cars all the time and this is a tool.
You gonna play MW3 beta? No, I'm not gonna play the beta. I'll play it when it comes out, but I'm not playing the beta. Crack Bull donated $2. Apparently, Aiden Ross went on a date recently to the trampoline park with a very lovely lady named Gorlock the Destroyer. And this happened. Also, Zerka has no game, lol. Let me see.
Help her, bro. All right, let's help her out.
Timer, no. Timer, 3 minutes.
No.
Stop, no! Stop!
She reminds me of Airsoft Fatty.
Marky, can you help her?
Gorlock the
3 minutes.
Destroyer.
3 minutes starts now. 3 minutes starts now.
Yeah.
It's okay. So go down there and do it.
3 minutes starts now.
No.
Well, that's pretty good.
Right,
No.
And Zerka.
You're answering for her, and that way she gets to hide. Make it awkward.
One, I hate talking to you because you never have anything nice to say to me ever, and you're stupid.
I said you're hot. I said you're hot.
I don't care about.
You're not on my level, but you're cute.
Literally, like, I was like, you calling me hot is an offensive term.
No, I think you're conventionally hot, not for me. But so now check it out. How did you even meet Neon?
At my house.
He walked in your house. What?
Yeah, we were.
And he picked you up?
Yeah.
As a virgin, or did you manipulate the virgin?
No, the virgin likes her.
She's got the best deal. Where's my chat? Yo, chat. One in the chat.
Oh, you got a real camera now.
Yeah, I do.
Wow, you got a filmer.
Oh, you got a real boyfriend now. Oh, it's not for long. Yo, check it out, chat.
We got the whole setup.
If she picked up a millionaire, the millionaire would say, "Hey yo, mine's bigger." Check it out. If she got a millionaire, he'd be like, "Oh, you're not sucking. I'm gone." But with Neon, she don't have to suck. She don't have to do anything. She got like the ultimate deal.
Exactly reciting what Myron said.
Really? I love you, Myron.
Watching. You're literally
No,
acting so dumb.
Jesus, who the fuck watches this dipshit? Yeah, it's fucking dudes who can't get laid who just want to hate on pretty girls. Thanks for the donation though, Crackbull.
Tool that you intend to use a lot, I would probably spend the money.
You know what else I like to use around the shop?
What?
If I'm not hammering, I'm drilling.
Oh, all right. Up next, we're testing drill bits. I've got a $19 set of titanium-coated drill bits here from Harbor Freight.
I have a $250 set of Chicago Latrobe Cobalt, and these are actually straw oxide coated.
Whoa.
Do you know what that is? Neat.
Let's see, what do we got? So I've just got a standard little point. Yeah, they look pretty similar. You've got that secondary angle there.
Yeah.
Which is probably meant for cutting and ejecting, I would think.
Yeah, that's an ejector hole right there.
All right, for the first test, we're gonna drill 50 holes into the decklet of this Chrysler Sebring using a drill bit from the cheap kit and a drill bit from the expensive kit. When we're done, we'll inspect the quality of the holes, we'll inspect the drill bit for wear and damage, and we're also gonna time the whole thing to see which one does it quicker, which is kind of an indicator of sharpness and durability.
Speed matters here at the tool party.
Speed's all that matters. Are you ready?
Ready? Drill!
Oh, that was 24. 25 holes. 1 minute, 44 seconds, and 44 100ths.
Hell yeah.
Okay, ready, set, go.
Ooh, that. Oh, she's bent now.
Oh, you bent her. 132.18.
Okay, so I beat you. I beat you in time. And honestly, a lot of these holes look a little bit cleaner than yours. The holes still stayed pretty circular and clean for a bent.
Kid Boo donated $2. Let me see.
The idea that she is now facing criticism and prosecution simply because she happens to be a black woman is ridiculous, and yet another example of providing cover for illegal behavior, bad behavior, by using and weaponizing race. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting when it happens, and I'm sick of it. And the reason why I'm so angry about this at this point is because honestly, our side of the political aisle loves to provide cover for it, and I find it gross, and I'm done doing it.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Anna Kasparian, who she has an Albert, the sad reality.
Right? Or it's going to get lit. It's going to be a movie. Well, Meatball, you said it. You got arrested. And now she and her lawyer are crying about it. She could also be seen walking with the crowd as they moved from one store to another. So.
Okay, I don't know what the story is. It sounds like somebody was looting. Thanks for the donation though, Kid Boo.
Drill bit, but you don't want a bent drill bit. I mean, in my opinion, that bit is now trash.
Nice, and then we have mine.
All right.
The nice finish.
After this.
Mounting plates, some performance brake pads, a rear caliper bracket,
Which High Team doesn't need since our sick new suspension kit from our last video already included an additional mount.
Here's our stock brake caliper, which we'll be installing on there.
So this is in addition to the stock caliper that's already on there.
Yes.
So you're gonna have two big old calipers
Yes.
on the back of your car. It's a lot of weight on one. That's a lot of weight.
Yes, you're gonna have a lot of weight.
I think mine are lighter.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
We got a Willwood brake reservoir here. That's pretty nice.
That's top tier.
That's a name I recognize. That's cool. That goes right in there. And some GK Tech brake lines as well.
Where are you pulling that out? Like a Mary Poppins bag?
I still have my secrets, James.
I think for most people, this is what you would go for, $750, and you've upped your game immensely.
Yeah.
Now let's see what twice as much money gets you. High Team is getting $1,500 worth of top tier handbrake parts, including a Sicky handbrake kit. It's sick. It's in the name. I don't make the rules. The grip looks like a freaking cleaver. It looks like a nice chef's knife. We also got mounting plates, brake lines, and 4-piston Willwood calipers and pads to match our current brake setup.
That's just over the top.
A 4-piston e-brake, dude.
It's just excessive, James. Should we compare the weights?
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Is it?
Yeah. This is aluminum.
And that's like
this is pig metal.
Yeah.
Hold mine.
Okay, that's pretty light. That's pretty good. Yeah. Stupid cast iron.
That's what you call distribution, weight distribution.
Obviously, your parts are a lot nicer and cooler looking, but I think functionally they'll probably perform similarly enough. I don't think that it's gonna perform twice as better.
Twice as better?
Yeah. Brake to our mounting plate. GK Tech does make a complete kit, so you don't have to do this. But we got the cheap handbrake, so we do have to do this. As well as clear out some room in the transmission tunnel for our brake fluid reservoir. Looking forward to another long day. Only a few more days, Nolan. Only a few more days.
On. It came with new hardware and everything. So then all we would have to do is plumb in the hydraulic line to the e-brake. I think this is pretty cool.
During today's video, off air intake, an adventure. There we go. Okay, we're back in the car.
Done this before I put the caliper on.
With my hand all wonky.
So the idea is to keep pumping this handle and then
You should test it, right? I'm gonna start the car, put it in first gear, get the... Did it work?
Yep.
Hell yeah, let's go skid.
We loaded up and headed out to the track for our final testing day with the now fully drift-ready Z's. Today, it was back to the skid pad for some super slidey tests and comparisons.
Time to test our handbrakes. Down there is a Nolan in a low car. Right here is a line. Nolan is gonna try and lock up the tires of that car as close to this line as possible. Then we're gonna do it. And whoever's closer wins.
It looked like his rear tires locked up the second he pulled the stick, which is what you want. I'm sure you guys are as impressed as me. Their handbrake works, and it looks like it works good.
That was just with a single piston caliper. So I'm really curious to see how High Car's 4-piston handbrake works by comparison.
Time to see how High Cars does. I think it's taking a while to engage.
That's funny.
Well, with a lot of force, it seems to work. Knowing how much...
Dude, his fucking steering wheel is fucked. What the fuck has he been doing with it?
Force, it seems to work. Knowing how much effort would you say it took you?
I mean, it was pretty much as soon as you pull it, you feel resistance, and you trust it.
I think yours works with a lot less effort. Yeah. Once we get back to the shop, I do want to dig into it and see if we can get it to be a little bit better.
As it turns out, our massive 4-piston calipers were a bit more than our handbrake could handle. The force of me pulling on the lever was spread out over a wider area, so the rear wheels were a little bit sluggish in coming to a complete stop. But it still worked way better than the stock handbrake that was in High Car.
That's both hands pulling. It don't work.
So, to see who would fare better in a real-life drifting scenario, we set up this reincarnation of the Buff Horseshoe from last season.
It's kind of like the final showdown here between Low Car and High Car.
As a control, each car would initiate a slide without the handbrake, and then they'd run it a second time and initiate with the handbrake.
We're gonna see if we can see a difference. He's gonna see if he can feel a difference.
And we're just gonna try to see which one looks cooler.
I mean, that's really what drifting is about. It really what looks cooler.
Go kick a clutch.
That was pretty sick.
Well, that was pretty good. Now let's see what low team can do.
right, Nolan.
He nailed it.
Did pretty well without the handbrake.
Yeah.
Let's see if it's any cleaner or easier with a handbrake.
That was cool. I think it looked cooler because he locked it up and then went to the oversteer. So it was like, it was a drip, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the handbrake feels a little bit lazy, to be honest with you. So the entry wasn't as sharp as I'd like, you know, where you kick out nice and strong, but it worked. I think his e-brake initiation is going to go a little bit smoother than mine. Really had to yank on it to get it out, which kind of sucks. Damn, dude. That's my boy. You saw those rear tires just lock up just like you want, and then he just coaxed it right through.
The transition from handbrake sliding to getting on the power and having the rear step out feels really natural. I feel like I got pretty close to the cones. Had decent angle. This thing rules. Drifting is awesome. I want to do it again.
Boys, does more expensive mean more better?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I really think so.
Unfortunately, I wanted to.
Thank you for watching this video.
That was an interesting one.